screen legally because I'm live.
We clearly heard half of something there. Hello,
Carly,
everybody.
what are you doing out here?
Hello, everybody. What is up? I'm going to go
All right.
meet your child, Alan. Hello, everybody. What? Oh, Aaron, this is going terribly.
That's your name.
Hello, my name is Aaron. I am a part of a channel called TMG Entertainment, and we are a professional outlet of video content. And this is a show called After Dark, in which we talk about things in the nighttime. How'd I do, guys? We got a host of people here tonight. We'll go ahead and introduce them one by one, despite the fact that you can see them all there. We'll go ahead and go to the Mandalorians. We'll go ahead and go to the Mandalorians. They get their week-by-week highlight every week on Disney Plus, but no paycheck for it. How are we doing?
Oh, now I'm in frame. Here we go. Hey, guys.
I was gonna say, I knew that the frame had to change.
You couldn't.
Sorry, Nikki. Just
Nick,
like with the Mandalorian, the focus is all on the child, not the Mandalorian.
Oh, wonderful.
it's Nicky, Devin, and Grogu.
Grogu. Yeah, this was a great week. We got Mandalorians galore, and yeah, Aaron.
Did you buy the kid a mask? I just noticed that. What?
Yeah. No, we got that. That's a Sabine mask that I had before. If my printer was working, I'd print another one. But yeah, if I don't know. I had a saying from The Office, but I forgot it.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our resident Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard.
Hello, everyone. Yes, that is I. I am both intrigued and dismayed by our lack of technical prowess tonight. It's very interesting. I'm going to do a Shatner-esque talking method tonight, so this will be fun.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to Mr. Ryan Payne.
Players, song, Mr. Payne.
I was trying to practice the opening notes to Friends, but whatever. I can't wait to actually get to do this. I'm actually looking forward to talking. There was a lot of crap that happened, but other than that, I haven't seen some of these spaces in a long time.
Would you say crap in the opening intro or just overall this week?
Both, honestly, it's been both.
It's good though.
Right.
It's good crap.
Yeah.
We had the Mandalorian. Go ahead and have a spoiler alert, Mr. Kevin Poss.
I am the human. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, don't add Kevin on
you clearly proved that on Facebook.
Spoiled on the Mandalorian.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I was very excited. And honestly, that's not a fucking spoiler, so
yes, it is.
Enjoy it.
So
all right. We'll end this conversation and go to somebody else who could say something bad. The resident Aussie of the group, Mr. Grant. How's it going?
G'day, guys. How are you? I'm really happy to be here. I'd call everyone Bud, but I know Kevin would probably smoke all of you if I said Bud too much, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right, and we're also joined tonight by a very special guest. Based off the news that happened this week, we have the CEO of Warner Brothers, Ann Sarnoff, joining us.
Hey there, guys. How you doing there, man? Start off or whatever. Hang in there. Got my child here.
Ann Sarnoff promoting the Colton Disney, two things she doesn't own.
Oh, God, no, that's mad.
Shocking, right? I bought Warner Brothers today. Fun fact, I bought Warner Brothers not today. I was made CEO today because it takes a while to process the paperwork. But I bought Warner Brothers about 2 weeks ago, and the former CEO was like, you know what? We know a lot of people are not going to be happy if we go streaming and theatrical for all of next year, so we're going to put them through a bunch of shit. And Alan, get your cock out of the stream, please.
She's technically not a cock.
Oh,
She's not a cock.
She's my pet raptor.
that was a raptor. That's what we're calling it now? Okay.
That's what we're calling them now. All right.
Better than naming them.
Right.
Oh God.
Good God.
You leave Mr. Wiggles alone.
Okay, since we're on the topic, we might as well follow it. Grant, you've been in the industry. Has anyone ever named them?
Yes. It's quite common.
That's incredible.
There's several people that worked with who have been known by their moniker of their meat shaft will go by, and the person that you talk to just happens to be the person that's attached to it. They've got nothing to do with it. There was Sledgehammer. There was Rock Bottom. He was quite interesting.
Good God.
There's definitely been a few. So and I'll let you in a little thing. Sledgehammer was given a name specifically because of the shape. So that'll let you know. Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Hold on.
Niche.
I'm sorry.
Niche videos pay a lot. So if you get someone that has a little bit of a deformity, good stuff.
I got a new job, guys. Let's go.
Okay, well, I don't know if I can top that, but let's just end the show. That's
I was gonna say, this has been After Dark. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for coming, guys. We're not demonetized anymore.
I'm starting my holiday movie binge now.
So, all right. So, do we want to go ahead and get to the big story tonight, or do we want to start with some smaller stuff first?
The big story. I just put my cock away.
Yeah.
And that's it. See you guys. See y'all later.
Well done. Okay. All right. So is the consensus big story?
Wait, what? Sorry.
To quote the Rock from Fast 5, you know I like my dessert first.
All right, let's go ahead and get to it. So we're going to go ahead and try something. This is either going to go really well or really horribly. So I decided to test something out here. Instead of trying to cold read a story and getting you guys excited and talking over me, I decided to pre-record them in 2-minute clips around so, and I will play them. Now, keep in mind, this only took about 2 takes, so they're not incredibly great. They were also recorded at 5 a.m. this morning, and I'm also kind of sort of out of breath in some of them. So they're the perfect setting for a first take. That's how
setup is not flattering.
I was gonna say, bro. What else were you doing at the time?
I went to the gym. I came home and recorded these.
Hey, Aaron, I'm used to filming people that are out of breath, so this is nothing new to me.
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna kill the porn talk for just about 2 minutes and talk about a different kind of footage. We'll be back.
There are children here.
Yeah, you knew what you were bringing him into.
No, we knew. You're right.
All right, here we go. Let's test this out. Here is the big story of the week. Our first big discussion piece of the night is brought to us by the news that on Thursday afternoon, Warner Brothers confirmed that all 2021 of their theatrical releases will receive a day-and-date release in both theaters and on their streaming platform, HBO Max. They confirmed this includes that all 17 films that were set to release, from blockbusters like The Suicide Squad and Godzilla vs. Kong, to smaller indie-style films like Judas and the Black Messiah and Taylor Sheridan's upcoming Those Who Wish Me Dead, will all receive this treatment. The plan is to release the films in both theaters and streaming with the initial launch. The movies will receive a full theatrical release of usually a 2 to 3 month window. However, the films will only stay on HBO Max for the first month of their release before leaving the service, to which point they will only be available in theaters until their home release. Warner has stood firm so far that this is a 1-year contingency plan due to COVID-19, most likely due to their reaction after Tenet's poor performance this year being hurt by COVID-19. This announcement comes on the heels of announcements all around from the major movie studios who have trying to recoup losses from COVID-19. It's been openly discussed that Disney may move other films to Disney Plus, but without the extra charge that Mulan had, the first of those being Soul on December 25th. Universal obviously made headlines weeks ago for their deal with AMC and Cinemark, in which they can release on digital after 17 days of exclusive release to theaters. Both of those major theater chains have given public reactions to the news, both admitting that Warner failed to contact or forewarn them of any of their plans or an announcement. AMC Theater CEO Adam Aron, who was accepting of the initial move for Wonder Woman 1984, has said, "Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject." Cinemark also released a statement that was slightly more civil, saying, "In light of the current operating environment, we are making near-term booking decisions on a film-by-film basis. At this time, Warner Bros. Has not provided any details for the hybrid distribution model of their 2021 films. Needless to say, no matter what the theater chain or the studios in the future and the decisions they make, this is a big decision for the immediate future of film distribution and could have repercussions for months to come." Could you tell I was reading a script?
Yes, yeah, we thought you were reading an article.
I thought that
Well,
was,
you
I thought
got
that
the
was,
whole
I thought that
thing.
was you right now.
All
Wow.
20 minutes.
All 20 minutes.
took a
Yeah,
nap.
I've
We,
zoned out
you know
for
what
a
I'm
minute.
saying? But it might be next week
That was
already.
long.
How would you not know?
Can you go back to the first part? I
Play the whole
spaced out
thing
for
again.
a second.
From the top.
Can you give me the
Listen,
elevator
Kevin,
pitch of
you-
that article
you can-
that you read every
Evan,
word
you
of?
can make jokes all you'd like now, but next time the videos will be so long, you could roll a fucking blunt during them, all right?
Damn.
Don't make him promises. Don't make him
All right,
promises.
so you
That's
guys,
what he's gonna
you
want
guys
to do.
heard my voice for a couple of minutes. Obviously, I tried to break down as much of the detail as I could of the story, all the different aspects. That's why it was so long. And fuck you, that was about 5 articles worth that I condensed. So you guys heard my voice.
I'm joking. It was good.
Nah. You heard my voice for a few minutes. Now here are the rest of the voices we have. What do you guys think about everything that's happened over the last few days?
I think it's
I like that you're wearing the same shirt.
Right, Aaron, this is what we need to do. You need to like point to each one of us.
Wow.
Grant,
Yeah.
Grant, I missed you, brother.
Point
I
to each
know,
one of you.
right?
Okay, Nikki, go first then.
Me go first. God, I was just making sound bites while you talk.
your idea.
That was great, Aaron. An inspiring performance of
Not a
Breathless.
review on me, a review on HBO.
It's
Oh, I
bold.
wasn't listening. I was just going on what your performance was. Do it again. Do it again.
It's bold, and
I was trying to
not
guess what day of non-shaving you were at. For you, maybe that's 6. You know what I'm saying? Might
Yeah.
be 10.
All right.
I'm
all
on
right.
3 right now.
Yes, I get it. I have an untamed beard with a porn stash that can make Grant. So, but go.
I
ahead.
thought we were done with the porn.
You got my number.
Grant, don't joke about that.
All right, somebody else
Bro.
speak. God damn it. Come
Okay,
I'll
anyway,
get on the plane tonight.
No one is doing it.
I'm sad and excited at the same time. Like, I'm glad these movies
What
are going to be
happened?
coming out, but I want to see them in theaters.
Well, you have 17
The,
days.
the real question, I think, what it boils down to is this the death of theaters? Like, is this
No,
the beginning
it's
of the
the
end of the
death
theater?
Evolution.
I think it. I think.
I don't
think
know,
that-
man.
Well, the problem is evolving to at-home release is evolution of the film industry. It's not evolution of theaters. It is the beginning. It's the
I
beginning
think
of
this is the
death of
first
theaters.
step in evolution of the theaters. I think the theaters are going to have to evolve because of this.
So, well,
Yeah.
here I was going to say I think it depends on how firm these studios are to the things they're saying. So, like in Warner Brothers' announcement, they said that this is, and as I said, it's a contingency plan that's supposed to be for 1 year. What happens is, do they stick to that? Like, come 2022, is it okay? Everything's back in theaters only, releases 3 months later, or is it, oh, we made some money, baby, we'll keep going with this, and that's where we'll see what will happen.
Right. For me, first part, if this will go past 2021, absolutely it will. And second, I talked about this a little bit before we got started with you guys. Netflix, they, put their stuff on Netflix, obviously, and with everything they buy and the money they put in to make their stuff, pay the actors, all that good stuff, they spend $29 billion last year and made 24. So they got 24 back to subscription, so they lost $5 billion. With that, they're playing the long game. That's not going to be the case for the next few years. You're going to see that number that they lost go down, and then you're going to see them starting to earn, and they'll be out of debt.
Sure.
They're perfectly fine.
I highly doubt they'll be near debt. I mean, we get to the point of
I think by this time next year we'll be back to normal.
I disagree. I think it's going to be the opposite with the flood of the market of different things. And also, you've got to look at the perspective. Netflix is a global sort of thing. HBO Max and that is not. It's a US-based thing. I don't get it until July next year in Australia. So we have no way of doing it. Our local theaters have shut down. So I'm literally my only way of doing it is either waiting for it to coming out on DVD, Blu-ray sort of thing, or finding someone who found it off the back of a truck at their place at 4 o'clock in the morning after I give them a case of beer. Or something like that.
A case of beer.
Exactly.
Nikki, let's focus on things that are technically legal.
No, VPNs are legal.
So, to kind of get back to that, I think what Warner Brothers will do as far as those things is they'll find other, like a Netflix or CBS All Access, something that is available in all countries, and they'll have their stuff play on there, because I believe that's what
CBS All Access is only US as well.
Yeah, the CBS.
I mean, even Netflix
completely international is Netflix.
Yeah.
Hulu's only just starting to come to where we are now. Hulu, but it's very limited. It's like 500 titles.
Right. Because it'll be like Netflix when they first expanded years ago, where it has to create its own library.
Well, the only one that's bigger than Hulu, but not as big as Netflix, is Disney Plus.
Is Amazon?
Disney
Plus.
Well, Amazon Prime is limited per region. Like, I can't even watch trailers. When the Boys season 2 trailer came out,
do you know how they're
I couldn't watch it.
There?
Probably do Netflix, because that's what CBS did, right, with Star Trek.
With
SpongeBob.
Our Star Trek is not on CBS Access because we don't have access to it. It's on Netflix.
No. Yeah,
we get it half an hour after it's released.
Yeah.
So if it's released at 7:30, there we get it.
Honestly, though,
I think they paid Netflix to put it on there for countries that don't have CBS All Access. So that
was the point.
That's probably what they'll do until July, when you guys get HBO Max, as countries start getting it. That's probably what they'll do until then.
Honestly, I could see something with like Zack Snyder's Justice League. Honestly, I could see them not wanting to sell that to another service, even the streaming rights for a country. I could see them making people wait to open it, or how are theaters in Australia? Like, are they open and going, or are they closed down still?
Well, smaller ones, because I'm in a regional sort of town, they took a massive hit, and the niche ones are still there. The major ones, our IMAXs, our Cinemaplex, all those, half of them are gone. Like, literally within a 6 month period, we've had shopping malls built around.
Shut down.
They're gone. They're gone. Like, they literally. There was a 16-thing theater down in Sydney, and it had a mall attached to it. That whole mall's basically dead now. Yeah. Because everyone was banking on. Going back to what someone said about it was the death of cinema. I don't think it's the death of cinema. I think it's the death of blockbusters. And that was where they were making the money, was in blockbusters.
Yeah.
And with blockbusters now coming back, you're going to see a lot. This is not necessarily a bad thing, because I think you're going to get a lot more people who are going to be limited by budget, who are going to have to be more creative with their story and other things to make it entertaining. Let alone just going, here you go. Here's $400 million to make the most epic thing ever, and you don't have to worry about anything. You just, $400 million, I've got to sell the most tickets. It's not about the story or the art anymore. It has its good sides and has its bad sides. But here in Australia, because our cinema is very niche, we had a sci-fi film that came out, was called 2067, I think it was called. Shot on.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, $3.5 million. It was actually shot on less budget than Upgrade was when it was shot when they made it out here, and it's phenomenal. Like, it's some of the best future back and forth storytelling, and what they were able to do by using old school techniques, matte painting, glass painting, and everything, and you swear by its 3D graphics.
Right.
Because they were forced to be more creative, because they had an initial budget of $25 or $26 million, and it just got slashed when the coup happened. So, but no, like I mean that's how it's affecting us here. I know in America that things are dying down, but for every cinema that's closing in America, in Japan, and in China, 3 or 4 are opening.
Right. So what I want to say about the whole thing, what I was going to get to, and I guess the whole blockbuster thing actually can lead up to it, because I was talking about it earlier before we started the show. Like I said, Netflix is losing $5 billion this year because they spent 29, got 24, but they're going to start getting money back as more original things come out and more people sign up, because more people are signing up for Netflix, it seems like, every day, and the prices are getting, increasing little by little. I think it was $12 for what I had. Now it's 15 or whatever. So like they're increasing it little by little. $3 not a big deal, but still, that's what they're doing. The difference between Netflix and a Disney, Warner Brothers, well, I guess AT&T, is they don't have to pay to buy things. They can just make their stuff in house. Mm-hmm. And what I saw, thanks to John Campia, because I was curious what his thoughts were on here, because he's super passionate about theaters, is by 2023, Disney Plus is expected to have about 80 million, probably more, subscribers. Price will probably be increased, a couple bucks, whatever. $10 still is a really good deal for that if they went that way. They're projected, just with Disney Plus, to make $7 billion in 2023.
Jesus.
So depending on how many people are going to be signing up for those, or depending on what plans, because I know Netflix, they have different levels of plans, though. So people may want the premium.
Netflix just went up on their costs.
Yeah, I know they went up on
HBO Max is like the most expensive one that I even know.
I'm lucky with my HBO Max because I bundled it with my DC Universe, so I'm able to pay a certain.
I wasn't gonna get it, but now
it's $15 straight up, and which is more expensive than any other platform right now.
I guess money values is different, but for our Netflix, our base one starts at $14.99 on the SD. I pay $18.99, and it's now going up to $21.99 for the HD version, not the Ultra HD with the 4K with multiple screens, but just the So that's what it's like here. It's we might as well go back to the old cable method here in Australia when it comes to it. That's why. At the end of the year, I do yearly subscriptions. I'm not renewing my Netflix. Yeah. I have Amazon Prime. I have a trial for Hulu. Probably not going to use Hulu, but we have an Australian one called Stan. Delves in a lot of more niche sort of style things, and that's what we're gonna stick to. Amazon is always going to be around. It's a $1 trillion company, and Bezos is not afraid of spending money. I mean, he spent X amount of millions of dollars getting The Expanse back just because he liked the sci-fi books.
They've got more than just movies. Like that's
but
I was going to say, Amazon is a fucking
most of the people have Amazon Prime.
Amazon. The reason that like Amazon's production company works so well is because Amazon's a multifaceted company. Amazon's making money off of newborn parents selling fucking boxes on boxes of diapers in bulk and turning that money around into Manchester by the Sea. Like, and it's weird to think about it in that context, but it's like that's exactly what they're doing.
Exactly
they're making money off their sales and transitioning into creative outlets.
True.
Yeah,
but
and Bezos is one of those CEOs that likes to focus on the creative. He's a very strong businessman, but he has this he loves sci-fi, he loves comic books, and he loves that sort of stuff. So if you're a comic book or a sci-fi fan, Amazon Prime in the next few years, especially now that he just increased his net worth during these last 18 months by like $90 billion, his personal one, like ridiculous. It's $1 trillion company, the only one in the world. And now they're moving into pharmaceuticals. So they're just going to be making money left, right, and center.
Yeah, like I was going to say, and he established from early on that he was interested in making like niche creative ideas, because if people remember, 2 of the launch shows they did were was it Jean-Claude Van Johnson, like the Jean-Claude Van Damme show, and also the live action remake of The Tick, which is such a niche show. Like, why would you remake that? And it's actually pretty interesting. Not the best.
I liked it.
Interesting.
The Tick was a good series.
I like The Tick.
Like when they first did shows, they were like, okay, here's like a pilot, and then you get to like vote for the pilot. There was one with Kevin Bacon too, I think.
Yeah, that was very good.
People like elected him.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, but they got Jack.
I mean,
they got boys. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, the story behind how he got to the Expanse, they were in a award show, and the crew knew that he was going to be there, and they knew what he was like. So they all managed to get themselves into it and sit near him and just start talking about the Expanse and everything. He's like, "Oh yeah, I love that." And he said, "Oh well, we're done." He's like, "What do you mean we're done?" He said, "No, we've been cancelled." He's like, "Oh, sorry to hear that." During his speech for his Amazon thing, he announced that they've renewed it there and then. Because they spoke to them and he went backstage to do it. So he's the sort of bloke who's going to be able to get in there and get everything. He's already said he has interest in either acquiring Apple or Disney. That's his next big thing that he's like, if I could, I'd acquire Apple or Disney next. I mean, Amazon's going to be the new Skynet.
Talk about inception of companies. Disney acquires Fox, who is acquired by Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean,
really quick though, to finish up my point. I don't think theaters are going away for good. I think there's going to be theaters somewhere.
Of course.
Probably privately.
Private screenings are going to be a lot bigger too.
True. I think they're going to be private theaters. I think your AMCs, Cinemarks, all that stuff, those are going to be gone.
But there are also some drive-in theaters.
Right.
I mean,
so, I don't think they're going to go away. However, I will say pay attention to December 10th. That is when Disney has their shareholder meeting. They're going to reveal everything. I have a feeling they're going to announce that not only Black Widow is going to Disney Plus, but everything in 2021 is also going there. But it might only be on Disney Plus, kind of like what they did with Mulan and what they're doing with Soul.
Do you think they'll have the premium?
I don't
know.
I can't see that happening.
Disney might. It depends on the. Honestly, I think it might depend on the property they're going to release. The reason why they did that with Mulan was because they were putting all their money in Mulan, not just being a live action remake, but of another beloved Disney classic cartoon. And the hype that came from the trailers, the demand to want to see it was up at the same level as Wonder Woman and Black Widow when all this shut down. And when people were worried that it was going to get pushed off or, it was going to get delayed even more, Disney decided to take that lunge. Despite it not being a good movie, people did take the bait.
It only made $32 million.
I give them credit for trying.
People waited till they tried.
It's not a successful model, though.
Yeah. No. So what I think they're going to do is, like with Soul, they're going to release everything included on Disney Plus because they're thinking of the long. If they do that and they have like your Black Eternals, a lot of their big stuff, Pinocchio's going to be on there, Cruella's going to be on there, the live action remakes are going to be on there. I don't think they officially announced it, but it looked like it was going to go that way anyway.
Those are some of the rumored films that could be shifted from theater to.
Those would be the first ones to go on there. But
I think something like Eternals they could sit on for a bit.
I think
it's been
isn't it supposed to play someone in the past?
Well, it's not. It's at a certain point. It's not about storytelling. It's about business. How long?
No, I know it's about business, but like they have a lot of movies.
Here's the thing, though. I think they're putting that on Disney Plus because what their whole thing will be kind of like with Warner Brothers is people will be like, oh, I can get Disney Plus and see Black Widow on release for free. I can see Eternals for free. I can see Jungle Cruise for free. Yeah. I don't have to pay anything.
For
it's going to add
free. That's a thing.
They have to pay the bill, but it's like not only that, but I can watch shows like The Mandalorian, the Marvel shows, and then like maybe they get a Hamilton or something like that. I can do that. Well, and more people are going to sign up.
Here's my thing. I don't. I think that they are. I think they're going to shift a lot to Disney Plus. I do, but I think all their biggest films, I think, are going to stay exclusively in theaters. Only because thus far, any comments that Disney have made have still been in support of the theatrical model. They're one of the few studios that, despite shifting films, have stood by the theatrical model. They're also one of the few films that I believe actually discussed it with NATO and theaters that, hey, Soul is no longer going to theaters. We are going to go with Disney Plus for this. And they're, because like I said with the thing, Warner Brothers blindsided theaters with this. There was no discussion with NATO. There was no discussion with theater owners. There was nothing. It was just, this is our plan, and
they
you
made
guys
the decision
accept it or get off. And so Disney, I don't think Disney would completely abandon ship only because they've stood by and support. And also Disney's one of the ones that has the most to lose. I mean, we're at a point now where you slap Disney's name on any blockbuster and it makes $1 billion, unless it's like really, really bad.
It gets a big fan.
And here's the thing. I think you're right for one part, but I think the one thing that you're missing is the fact of the matter is that the majority of the films they're talking about releasing, they've already spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on, so they want to make their money back. After, let's just say, for instance, this goes on for years. After this happens, I guarantee 100% of the things, they're going to go straight to digital. They're just trying to make back the blockbuster money that they had,
right?
Because they went off Endgame, they went off Captain Marvel, they went off Black Panther, they went off all these ones that were $1 billion properties, and they used the next lot of budgets accordingly.
Right.
Yeah. So you think they already know?
And at the moment, they're trying to weave everything to get that money back.
I think they can make that money just with subscriptions, because
you won't make that money. You'll never make that money. You'll never make that money.
You'll never make. I don't.
It's impossible, honestly. It depends on the film. It really depends on the film. You're going to make money back, honestly.
Well, okay. So
maybe
like here,
digital and theaters, but I mean, and I would love it. But
here's the thing.
I don't see
most average Disney blockbusters at this point are costing them around $200 million alone. So here's the thing: if we're counting marketing that's already been put out, like that's so if we're even adding more with marketing that's already come out, if they shift Black Widow for free, if they shift Eternals for free, if they shift Jungle Cruise for free, I don't think it was quite 200 million, but Cruella, I believe, was a higher budget film. If they shift Cruella for free, which they're already considering doing, if they shift all these films back to back to back, and that's not even talking about the Fox films, people forget.
Yeah.
Death on the Nile and Free Guy, which were two very expensive films, were supposed to come out in December. And now they don't have a release date. But
I mean, let's not forget the constant times New Mutants was being pushed under the Fox brand until finally Disney was like, "We're just going to unload this onto theaters." So,
that was contractual. But
yeah, sure, it was contractual. Disney could still walk back on it. But I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
With the purchase of 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios, there is that constant backlog of movies that were either in post-production or that were ready to go, that had release dates, or some that were currently during production, during the shooting processes. Disney now also has the catalog and also have to schedule or plan out when they want to release those, or if they're going to shelve them, like certain projects to save for theaters or just for streaming.
And I was going to say, maybe part of my outlook on it is just because, and this is just I love the theater. It's one of the things I love most about film. And I think worst case scenario for film is for the theater experience to die. But the thing is, at this point, the culture that we are in is so ingrained in even if it's not as expensive, it's blockbuster style filmmaking. I think after a certain amount of time, if everything shifts to digital, I think people will eventually go, why are we not in theaters anymore? Why are we not seeing these on big screens with big things? And it's like, and part of the problem is like,
back to it.
Like, and the thing is, like,
people want to get out of the house every now and then. They want to at least have that close, that almost what theater experience is, it's really like some certain theaters, depending on how good the ambiance and the atmosphere is, gives you that feeling that you're
hit the nail on the head, Ryan. Like you're absolutely right. People are gonna want to get out. Like that's the point right there. That's what's gonna bounce the theaters back. That even if they're just playing they're not even playing good movies, if they're playing like lower budgeted movies, once the vaccine
niche movies, niche cinema is going to come back.
Yeah, if it's ever erratic,
even playing older films,
people are just going to want to get out.
Older films too.
But here's the thing. Now, look, we all love the theater, obviously. I mean, it's my favorite place to go to. But we got to be honest. the day we live in right now, with the size of TVs that are coming out, with how good they look, with 4K OLED, all that stuff, quantum dot, with the surround sound you can get, like Nakamichi, you can buy like theater quality surround sound for like $1,000. I'm getting mine from a friend, well, my dad's friend, in a few weeks when I can get out for like $600. Yeah, his friend.
The back of that same truck
I'm
that
getting
Rick
for
gets the
600
movies from.
deal, but with all these things coming out, I don't think people care about going to the theater anymore, because I mean, obviously people will go see like Avengers and whatnot if they can, but if you ask somebody, what would you rather do? Go to a theater where you're going to potentially have people talking throughout on their phones, somebody's phone could go off, or sit at home with no like surroundings around you. If they're going to choose that, plus
that may be one thing, but I also have to counter that as well. One thing with the theater experience is that with people, you get to have a shared reaction, a shared moment.
Exactly.
Watching a theater.
I just don't think
Avengers Endgame opening day, I went and saw it. The moment that Stark guy died, spoiler alert, and everyone was crying, was one of the best moments of my life. I've never had more fun in the theater, hearing all these people crying over a fictional character.
Or let's even with
like it was phenomenal. I would never get that at
Infinity
home.
War. I mean, let's talk about Infinity War. When that snap happened, when the people were seeing those were getting dusted, you cannot help but you can't lie and say that the theater you went to, you heard people gasp, you heard people cry, you heard people scream in agony. Yeah, they were angry.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think theaters are going to go away forever. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
That's why I said they're
not going to have that ambiance they used to have.
There are still drive-in theaters. I mean, so
there's still drive-in theaters. There's still records. There's still people that sell 8 tracks.
Right, exactly.
So nostalgia sells.
That's not going to go away. I'm just saying. I think I agree with Grant more that this is the end of like big blockbuster movies.
So and because like with Disney Plus and HBO Max, by 2023, at least Disney, and this doesn't include the price increase. This is still at $6.99. They're projected to make $7 billion off of Disney Plus alone.
Yeah,
I think 5 years from now,
because they don't have to pay for anything they have to buy. They make things in house. Plus, they have theme parks. Plus, they have all this stuff. But if they're gonna make that much now, if Disney Plus somehow just kind of takes a dive fall, okay, then obviously they're not. But odds are they're going to make more than that. They might make 10 billion, 11 billion, and that's how much they made last year with Avengers Endgame and all this stuff.
But this year, that's the thing. They did take a loss this year for the first time in like 49 years or whatever it was. They did take a loss this year, so they're trying to boost up the stockholders, saying, "Well, this is what we predict, this is what we reject." I don't believe a word of that, purely simply because this is the first year in like 50 years that they've lost money.
Well, nobody's going to the theater though. That's the problem too.
And that's the point. That's what they're saying. Well, our projections are this. They're trying to ease the stockholders and the shareholders versus people like us.
I'm still in contact with the theater I used to work at, and just yesterday, Friday night, just the entire day, all movies, everything, they had 2 people.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
There's a theater not that far off from where I live in the greater downtown area in San Diego. It's like one of those I forgot what it's called. It's meant to be like the Chinese theater, but it's more of a condensed area to where the first floor is like a candy store and the top floor is the theater.
Yeah. And they've only got like 5 people working there in the 3 floors. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That place that's about 20 minutes away from where I live. They've definitely had to do a lot of adjustments. They're doing like trying to do the outdoor dining situation, and then with the theaters, what they try to do is they try to have a limited number of people inside. But the last time I talked to the hostess there, she said one showing had maybe at least 4. But then another one had 11, and then one film had 1 person inside. And she said that was a good day compared to having nobody in.
That's why I think
there's no way that's paying the light bills and
absolutely not.
The workers and all that. There's no way.
The biggest problem is the rent situation. It's the rent control that
rent is what's killing businesses.
Yeah.
There's a hold on these rent situations with theaters or with businesses, and they gave them a lot of ample time and space to adjust how they were going to adjust to these during this COVID time. Then maybe later on, once everything starts coming back up, like when a vaccine spreads, when people can actually when you can actually be in a spot with more than 30 people without having to wear a mask, then we can talk about these businesses having to pay back the money that they.
Yeah.
So essentially, what you're saying is the rent is too damn high.
I think, like I was gonna say, I think one of the things that could potentially play into killing theaters is rent expense. Like, and I take a lot of what I'm saying. Obviously, I was gonna say obviously it goes deeper than this, but I think one of the most concise ways to ever explain what I'm about to say is actually a film called The Founder. It's about McDonald's. But basically, in The Founder, the people that advised Ray Kroc, who's played by Michael Keaton in the film, is when he was investing into McDonald's, I believe the character is played by BJ Novak. He basically explains to him, look, you're not in the business of food, you're in the business of real estate. The way you make money is buy the land yourself, build your businesses on there, and that way you're not expediting money out in order to pay rentals. I don't know why more businesses haven't looked at that success model and adapted it, because one of the worst things you can do is create an entire, essentially with theaters, almost an entire industry around renting buildings from people, so that when instances like this happen, you're all absolutely fucked. Like,
well, no, there was a law against it. Like studios and that could not own cinemas. That was a thing that was really big. I know
studios couldn't own them, but actual theater chains like AMC. Now, like where I used to work, AMC on Disney property, I understand why they're paying rent on Disney property, but all these small AMCs that decided to go into rent in malls, why didn't they just buy their own land space nearby and build their own buildings from the ground up so that they own, after that initial crazy expense, the building's yours. You're not stuck signing contract after contract after contract and paying out millions in rent.
That's why they're going to get bought out.
But you're also still paying taxes, property taxes.
But the difference is it's not subsidized. You can't write a lot of that. You can write a lot of your rent off on taxes as a business expense. But you can't write off your rates. You can't write off your power, your electricity, and everything else like that.
Fixing stuff that breaks. The bathrooms go down. You got to fix that shit.
Yeah, running water, gas, lighting.
Trust me,
that involves that space.
Right.
Well, and not only that, any sort of liability damages. If it's your business, AMC owns this building, and someone trips on the sidewalk out the front, they're now responsible, even if they never step foot in it. So they might get sued initially if they don't own the building. They can then countersue the owners of the building, and then the insurance will pay it out. But otherwise, if you own that, that's all on you, and that's the main reason why it's the risk versus reward sort of thing like that.
Sure.
All right.
I don't know. I guess it's just crazy to see an entire industry built on that thought, and then you have instances like this where that thought now crumbles you. So you're
especially
right.
When it's a billion dollar industry. Yeah.
That's why the big
I understand it.
Are primed to take over. So like that, I don't think anything is going to, like 5 years from now, like the immediate future, things are going to change. But 5 years from now, I think it's going to be back to the blockbuster opening, and the only thing that's going to change is that the infrastructure. The people that own the theaters are going to be able to own the own buildings that have the theaters. They're going to have these huge expenses at places like AMC and Regal, and then like Disney or some other big corporation is going to come in as a white knight investor for a huge chunk of the corporation to save it. So that's why I think it's going to change.
I truly believe if we're talking about potential business shutdown, I genuinely believe that if there's any company that will last it, it's AMC. AMC have been talked about the most because they are the biggest. But when I speak to people, what a lot of people don't seem to think about or realize is every single theater is going through what AMC is going through. It's just AMC's getting reported on it. It's not like the other, I worked for a smaller theater chain for a few months that I've since left. They're mostly a West Coast chain that started expanding. They've now filed for, I believe, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The chain as a fucking whole is filed for Chapter 11, but they're not being reported on the national news, but AMC is. And so that's the thing, and that's just because of AMC's stature. I absolutely believe. Are they a public
company?
I have no clue.
Okay. Because that also like changes things too.
Yeah.
True. I have no clue about the stature of their stock and all that. Yeah. But what I was saying was I think people have joked and said oh, Jeff Bezos is going to come in and fucking buy out someone and save it. I think if he does, if something like that happens, I absolutely believe AMC will actually be the theater chain that stays standing simply because of its long-standing nature. I just feel like it's got the most locations because they've bought out other brands.
I was gonna say we used to have a Carmack Cinemas, and now it's an AMC. So
AMC Classic. Yep, they bought AMC has such an infrastructure that they bought an entire theater chain and turned it into a whole new line of theaters for them. That's how big. And I worked for them when that purchase was happening. I remember being told what I probably shouldn't have been told about that deal, and I was just the details are insane. Of what they were purchasing.
You can tell us. No one will hear about it. You just tell us.
I wouldn't remember. It was years ago, but it's what happens when you become good with all the managers. You'll learn things you really shouldn't know as a registered person.
Right. Now, I will say, first off, pay attention to December 10th. That's going to really dictate what happens. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see Black Widow, Eternals.
I would love for you to be wrong too.
I would love to see those, especially Eternals. However, just with what Warner Brothers did, and with just how much money you can make off the streaming services,
and it's
at best I could see both digital and theater. I could see that potentially happening. I could see just straight Disney Plus for free, kind of like with Soul. Or I could see a hybrid of the premium to where instead of paying $30, you pay $10, $15. I think people would be more willing to pay that much because you're paying not that much to see a movie anyway in theaters, and so you save your money with the family. Times are tough right now, and this whole thing could go throughout the entire year. Warner Brothers might have heard something, or they might be feeling really confident that we're not going to be out of this for another year. So maybe that was why. Because I thought it was weird that they said the entire year. I thought they would say July. But
I think they're trying to run theaters out of business.
Well, I don't think so. Now, I do find it ironic that
it is a good question to ask.
But I think they're trying to either corner the market or work out how much they're actually going to make, because they have no idea if things are going to open, but they know that the online model works, the VOD model works. So
I'm more of the idea that he's saying that they're trying to corner the market, because let's be honest, when a studio has more leverage or has more control over a theater chain, it's definitely more prominent that their properties are going to be shown in that theater, especially something like Disney. Let's say we get let's say we get an AMC that has, let's say, a minimum of 15 screens, and then Disney ends up owning 60 or 65% stake. And then let's say the next slate of films that come out, Disney wants to make sure, let's say for the live action Cruella, they want to make sure it's shown at least on 10 of those screens. Meaning it's going to dominate most of the screen time, where some theaters that wanted to put on maybe some critically acclaimed films or some independent films that's been shown at festivals are only going to get one screen. And even if they do get one screen, they're lucky if they're going to get 4 showtimes. They may just get 2 or 3.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Or the opposite, where DC comes out with a massive blockbuster that they know is going to make bank. They put something in a small thing. So, well, actually, we own 65% of this, so we need to have this. Where in any other normal theater, they'll be able to have like 15 out of 16 screens showing it at one time. And that's why the law existed initially.
Right.
It definitely needs to be updated regarding these times, especially with studios. I have nothing against studios, but they don't know the audience. They don't know where the audience is going to swing.
Right. But isn't it ironic that AMC was freaking out at Warner Brothers for doing it, but they signed a deal with Universal to shorten the gap between theatrical and digital?
So here's the thing. I don't think that AMC's like whatever his name, Adam Aaron or whatever his name, I don't think his reaction, because that's him speaking. Like Cinemark's was like a company press release, whereas his was like straight up, this is me saying it. I think his reaction comes from more of a place of the blindsiding rather than it does the fact that it's happening. Because we saw it. He had the same verbal uproar reaction of, oh, trolls, this is happening, and then they worked out the kinks later, right? They got it figured out. And then with Disney's been communicating with theaters, so any decision they made, like there was no verbal outrage about Soul moving or Mulan because it was all communicated. It was done through the channels, right? And so now with this Warner Brothers thing, like I mentioned in the video, he had basically no reaction towards Wonder Woman, and I would assume that's because that was probably communicated through the channels as well. They said, hey, this is what we're doing with Wonder Woman. But in that saying, because even when they made the public announcement, there was never any show of intent in that announcement that this is what was happening going forward. That's a totally separate announcement that, quite frankly, didn't just blindside theaters, it blindsided everyone. Like no one expected that to happen.
Their current slate of films. They never said of any future projects. They just said the ones that were initially going to have 2020 releases or 2021 releases that are going to be
all the post-production films.
Yeah, post-production films.
Yeah.
Right.
It does, and I can see why the theaters were really like taken aback by this, because some of them are putting money down for films like Dune to be in their theaters. They did,
but not only that,
6 or 7 screens so they can show Dune.
Yeah, so
you've got the directors of each of them trying to say, I want my film out. I don't want to wait until 2022. Like, so you've got all these directors and everything like that. Like, dude, I'm not going to work with Warner Brothers again. If I don't get my film out this year, I can't do anything else, because how do I know when all of a sudden you're going to go, yep, you now have to do it. I'm now in the middle of production of my newest film, and they've got all these catalog that was supposed to already been. We should have already had our talks about what we thought about Wonder Woman and other stuff, and oh my god, it's freaking like it's like 2 days until we see Dune. Like we were so excited. So I get that. Not only that, Warner Brothers is doing the one thing that Disney is. They're listening to what the people want. The people saying, we want this. We don't care how we get it. We just want it. And they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do then. They put a time limit on it. It all depends on this, all their success. I don't believe for 1 second if they make absolute bank, they're going to go, well, we're going to go back to the old model. Right. Because they're losing it. They're losing in the cinema wars as it is. So if they're winning at this, they're just going to keep the digital and that one, and then slowly phase out the blockbuster that way. Right. Everything. You won't get a Lord of the Rings. If they do a Lord of the Rings type sort of movie again, it'll be a limited series 10-episode things that cost $100 million, but you can break that down into $10 million episode sort of thing. I mean, that's what the Mandalorian cost an episode. So like I think that whole thing, they listen to what people want and they're giving it that, but they're giving it on their own terms. So we've got to be wary, but
now, and then here's another thing too we got to consider about like Disney and Warner Brothers and whatnot. They release all these movies on, like, let's say Warner Brothers, they're doing it with HBO Max. If Disney was to do the same thing, the difference between like a Disney and other companies is Disney doesn't just have theaters that can earn them money. They have like the theme parks, which at full capacity makes like $30 million a day. They will make their money from products, all these things, and Disney Plus. So they could do this, be like, okay, we didn't make as much money on these movies, like we could have made more, but we're not quite there yet. But because we have these other things, we can kind of take the hit, take the loss, and
they are better at merchandising. Disney is one of the best at merchandising compared to any other.
It's more people on Disney Plus, which accelerates the amount of people that are going to be on there by 2023. Which maybe instead of the 7 billion, they make 10, 12, 15, because more people are like, oh, I can watch the newest Marvel movie day one on Disney Plus. I'll do that. And I don't think the studios buying theaters will work, because now it's like, let's say Disney buys 500 AMCs.
Maybe it's Amazon.
Well, Amazon would be better for the theaters. It would be better for the industry if they were going to go and stay in theaters forever. Like if theaters were going to be a thing forever. Because if it bought, like, let's say 500 to 1,000 AMC theaters, right?
Right.
Those would only show the Disney movies, and then Warner Brothers or Universal will be shit out of luck, and we'll have to play.
But you don't think they would put some Amazon movies on there too, and they're
Well,
cheap.
if Amazon owned them, yeah, but Amazon doesn't own near.
was gonna
We're
say,
not going to get like 15 screens of like, I don't know, Kings of Staten Island or Borat. It would be like one or two.
It's not the biggest thing Amazon does. Like
Well, I was
that's
gonna
not
say-
the biggest thing they have. Like that's
I
they're
don't-
like third
But I don't.
Well, maybe this is just ignorance on my part, but I don't believe that and that's a totally different debate about should studios be able to actually buy theaters. That's a totally different debate.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe for one second that let's say Disney went and bought like just because it's one that I've worked at and I've seen a lot of the numbers. Let's talk about their Disney theater, which would be a given, right? Disney's got a theater on their property. If they're buying up AMC theaters, you're buying that theater. I don't believe for one second that they would only show Disney films there because I can speak from personal experience in terms of business, foot traffic, and actual numbers. The Disney films, the biggest of Disney films, are doing just as much, if not slightly more, because it is a Disney theater, but they're doing about the same as any of Universal's biggest blockbusters and any of Warner Brothers blockbusters.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think Disney would be stupid. Like if Disney's a theater, I think they'd be stupid not to play other studios' films because now you're playing another studio's film at your theater. You're taking a cut of that money because you own the theater that's taking the theater cut of the ticket. You're now making money off of everyone. It's kind of a similar argument as to this is video games, but Microsoft recently bought Bethesda, which is one of the biggest gaming companies in the industry. They've said straight up, we're not making their releases exclusive. All their biggest releases will be all platform releases. And everyone went, why? They're going to lose the exclusive wars. It's not about the fucking exclusive wars. It's about making money off of your competitor. You're now making money off of PlayStation sales, and that's how you make money.
I actually,
but the whole point of their stocks went down dramatically after they did that, so it ended up in the long run costing them more money. They've got to play catch up, and then they've got to start from scratch again. So I think that was a bad example.
With the Xbox thing, I've looked a lot into it, obviously, because because that was such a big deal. I've really liked everything, and just the whole weeks later and stuff, hearing what Phil Spencer said. So basically the guy who runs Xbox. The games that will be multi-platform are the ones that are already under contract. So there's a game called Deathloop. That's a PlayStation exclusive. It's Bethesda game down there. They're already thinking about making the next Elder Scrolls Xbox exclusive. They're thinking about
that wouldn't surprise me.
Xbox exclusive, and the reason why they're doing that is, for one, people were saying you need to also release it on PlayStation and Nintendo and stuff because that's more money. More companies get more money. Their whole goal, they don't care about that. They want more people on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
More subscriptions, more.
PlayStation, unless PlayStation gets Game Pass, which it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen. If they can just have all the Bethesda games on there that aren't already under contract to be on PlayStation as well, which I think there's a game called Ghostwire. That's a PlayStation thing as well. If you can get more people on Game Pass, that's their whole goal. Their whole goal is to have 3 billion gamers, which would be both console, on PC. They have xCloud, so you want to get more people on there. So that's
they're rolling out more PC, Xbox cross compatibility games.
I think the new Call of Duty is multi-platform.
Most of the new ones
Call of Duty is multi-platform now.
But,
I love that.
But so their whole thing is, because PlayStation has pretty much said we're not going to be having Game Pass. Out of them and Nintendo would be the one to get it because Nintendo and Xbox have had a good relationship already. So
they've let them have exclusive.
So those would be still exclusive. Right. But when we go to the theaters, let's say you had a movie like Avengers Endgame come out. That's going to be on 10 screens at least, if not all of them, because of how big it was. What is going to cause an issue, I think, is the ones that are owned by Disney. The biggest screens will play the Disney movies. Let's say you have a Warner Brothers movie in there. It's going to be stuck on the small screen. Warner Brothers isn't going to
right. When
so
do those
Warner Brothers will buy, let's say, Regal, because they have a Regal theater on City Walk. So odds are they would buy those. That's probably so it'd be like, you want to go see a Disney movie, have to go to AMC. You want to go see like a Warner Brothers, go to Regal. If you want to go see Universal Cinema, you know, things like that.
I agree with whoever said though that if Disney's gonna buy a chain or whatever, or Bezos or anybody is gonna buy, it's gonna be just one chain. They're not gonna buy 500 AMC's and 500 Regals and 500 Cinemarks. It's gonna be one.
They're gonna buy a majority share of it.
And basically make it a monopoly.
Right. Yeah. Amazon would be the one to definitely buy it.
Amazon.
I could see that. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's going to happen though, because I think Jeff Bezos did not make $1 trillion because he just bought a random stuff. He was smart about his money. If it's looking like theaters are going away, he's not going to invest in it. You know what I mean? So like I said, we got to pay attention to December 10th, because if Disney says we're going to release all these movies on there, yeah, they may take a loss this year with some of their stuff or next year, but they're going to make it like Netflix. As their movies are only released on Disney Plus, more people are going to join Disney Plus that want to see a Black Widow. And if they have multiple things coming out every month, people aren't just going to cancel their subscription after, I saw Black Widow.
Xbox in this situation, like in this comparison?
With Xbox? Oh, Aaron mentioned Xbox with the theater thing, but
but no. But what I'm saying is that Warner Brothers, like in the situation where Xbox had, where is Warner Brothers just trying something, this could fall in their face, and then they start pedaling back, like Xbox has been doing with the Elder Scrolls, I think is what you said.
Yeah, which those, I mean, I think like I said, Microsoft, I don't think cares about losing money at first. It's all about the long game, and
it's the long game. Yeah,
people on Game Pass, then they'll keep it exclusive, and that's what they'll do.
And see, and again, this is just all coming from my personal point of view. Like if that's true, and because of initial stock drop, Xbox are backpedaling on all the, because originally what they said was we're not planning on making the biggest things exclusive. If they're backpedaling on that, then to be quite frank, I think that's a bitch move in terms of running a business, because I don't think businesses prosper. Right. Businesses prosper from competition. Businesses don't prosper from exclusivity.
Well,
I genuinely don't believe.
That's why they open a McDonald's across from a Wendy's every time.
Look at how much
exactly.
How many they sold? It's one of the most successful consoles out there, and they have their exclusives like Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, games like that. God of War.
PlayStation won the exclusive. They did.
But with Xbox, Phil Spencer did not say we're going to put on multi-platform. His exact words were, "We're going to look at it on a case-by-case scenario."
Mm-hmm. Right. And on a case-by-case scenario, because of that, I'll buy games for Xbox. Like if the game is cross-platform, like on Xbox and PlayStation, I'm choosing Xbox there.
Right. And I was going to say, gaming is a totally different.
I know.
To film.
The comparison, I think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
The more the stock prices drop, the more new investors come in and can actually shake up things.
Yeah, because what I was going to say, what I was going to say was, obviously, like you said, they may backpedal on some of what they said about exclusivity, and it's all case by case, and I totally get that. At least from my point of view, I think it would be a terrible business decision to make something like Elder Scrolls 6 Xbox and PC exclusive just through Game Pass and shit like that. I think it's a terrible decision to do it to games like that, simply because consoles have built themselves into the console community has built themselves into this weird corner where everything's like PlayStation or Xbox, and you got the Nintendo fans off in the corner doing their own damn thing with Smash, right? Like that's basically how it is. And so I don't like, if Xbox were to come in and make Elder Scrolls an exclusive, I think all it would serve to do is to create bad publicity for them, and it would serve to create internet anger. I don't think it would make people go, who have been long-term PlayStation fans go, I'm going to go buy an Xbox so I can play Elder Scrolls. No, they're just going to scream and get angry and get mad about it and then bitch for the next 6 years if they can't play Elder Scrolls.
No, they'll just get Game Pass. Because they can play it on their computer, they can play it on their phone. They're going to be able to play it on TVs. They're going to have it.
Well, so
you're on everything except for PlayStation.
I was going to say, I honestly don't know how that's going to go. You could be right, but the reason I bring up
console wars.
The reason I bring up the console war specifically is because there are some PlayStation fans that are so hard. Like I know people who are such hardcore PlayStation fans that despite the fact that Game Pass is probably the best platform out there for gaming, they won't use it because of Xbox. And there are people who are going to think that way. And I don't know if Elder Scrolls, even something as big as Elder Scrolls, is the thing to change it. And so by making it console, now I could see early release or exclusive content, or I think there are definitely other advantages you can bring and do. Like a good example is with Call of Duty. For years before they switched to a free DLC model, for years Call of Duty had early DLC launch on Xbox, but then when that contract expired, before Xbox had a chance to renew, PlayStation stepped in and bought the contract and said, no, we want this now. And all it did was cause outrage. It didn't cause anybody to switch to PlayStation. It caused outrage. But yeah, obviously, totally different from what's happening in terms of film. It's a totally different conversation.
Yeah. I guess wrap it up in a bow, the Xbox thing real quick. With that whole thing, they spent $7.5 billion on Bethesda. That's a lot of money. If they can get more people on Game Pass because of it, with it being a monthly subscription, they're going to do that. And if people that are diehard PlayStation fans are going to cry and not play it, okay, that's their loss. That's how Xbox will look at it. Their whole thing is, we want to get as many people on Game Pass as possible. At this point, they don't even care about console sales. I mean, yes, you don't want to lose money, that you put into the console.
You didn't develop them to lose money.
Yeah, I mean, and they will always be made for console first. Yeah. That's how they'll be made, and then it gets put on Game Pass, and then it gets put out on PC and whatnot. But their goal is to get 3 billion gamers. That's their end game. 3 billion gamers to join Game Pass. So
just Game Pass, not Xbox Live, like in general.
No.
Well, Xbox Live and Game Pass are sold bundled.
Xbox Live wouldn't be able to provide it just wouldn't be good for them. Game Pass does.
Because I have both subscriptions. Like I have the $60 the year-long Xbox subscription. I have the year-long PlayStation subscription. That's how I get my video games for consoles. I get those 3.
I was going to say, Malcolm just dropped in the comment another great example that's comparable to what I brought up about Call of Duty. PlayStation users have gotten exclusive bonus content for the Assassin's Creed franchise for years.
And that's just the contract. Well, I can get that, yeah.
I just think the big difference between like a Call of Duty Assassin's Creed compared to like an Elder Scrolls is they don't own Elder Scrolls, or they never own Assassin's Creed. They don't own Ubisoft. They don't own Activision or Call of Duty.
Some of us are old enough to remember early 2000s, like early 2000s, 90s. Remember when like a game would come out, like they would have like, especially like movie tie-in games. Like they might have like a Batman game or a Star Wars game, like Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, something like that, or Star Wars The Phantom Menace. They had like
those are still coming out today.
No, they are. But what I'm saying is, like, they had like 5 different versions of the same game, but all those versions were different. So, like, that game came out for Game Boy. That game came out for PlayStation. That game came out for Nintendo 64. That game came out for. They would have the same title, but it would be a different game on each of the systems. So you got your own flavor for each system. I'd love to see them go back to something like that, because I think with the Avengers, the last Avengers game, they had exclusive content on PS4 that you could play as Spider-Man.
And I don't think a lot of people got too upset after a while because the game sucked. But
not that anyone is playing Marvel's Avengers right now.
Yeah, I think that there's people that play that just stopped after.
That's a whole different failure I could talk about for ages, man. That's a whole different topic.
But to get back to the movies, because we were on Xbox for a little bit. Like I said,
you guys went down that little that rabbit hole for a second.
Yeah, I thought we were.
I know more than I do movies, but to get into it real quick, to kind of wrap my whole thing up is December 10th is going to be a very important day. Not only because it's a video game awards, and Brie Larson will probably announce the winner of Game of the Year, which will be Last of Us 2, which would be ironic because a lot of people hate Last of Us 2 for the same reason.
They hated some of the choices that was made in that game.
It's a lot of the people that are like yelling about it also yelled about Brie Larson. I think it would be amazing to have her announce Last of Us 2, just to get those people freaking out. I think it'd be awesome. But anyway, December 10th is important because of the shareholder meeting. if Disney goes with digital only, because it would mostly be because they're thinking long game. Oh, we can get a lot more people on faster with Black Widow only being on their Eternals, Jungle Cruise, yada yada yada. And if they have things releasing every month, people are going to stay on for the entire month. That might be a death nail to the chains. I don't think the theaters will be gone forever, because you'll have your independent theaters. I think those will be around.
Your mom and pop and
special occasions. It'd be kind of like some arcades. But if that happens, I'm going to be buying this 85-inch 4K TV for $2,000. It's a wonderful TV.
I want to get one free deal, and can you give me the other one?
I mean, if there is, potentially, I could potentially do that. But I
was going on like there was I have this philosophy when it comes to TVs that you shouldn't pay more for the next one that you did for the last one. So like I had around Christmas a couple years ago, I got a 55-inch TV, 4K, and then a year and a half later, for my birthday, I got a 65-inch TV 4K for the same price as I paid for the 55-inch one. So TVs have like a progression where we're almost hitting that range where the 75-inch ones are going to be the price that was paid for the 65-inch one a few years ago. So that's what I love about TVs, is that they keep getting cheaper.
The only I think there'll obviously be some TVs that'll be like that. The only ones I don't see actually ending up being like that are like the new technology, like OLED TVs. Those are always going to be more money.
But 4K, do you really need more than that? I can't see more than 4K.
I'm telling you, OLED is so much better. Just with the whole blacks, because it completely gets rid of blooming around.
It's like Dolby, right? How the black.
The current TV I have right now is not an OLED, it's a mini LED mini LED. I got it for about $600, whatever. It's already given me issues. I don't recommend getting a TCL 6 series mini LED, but it does have Dolby Vision and Atmos on there.
That's great.
But I still notice blooming on it, and that's because it's not OLED. OLED completely gets rid of that, and the LG OLEDs are like the best TVs to get. Those are the ones everybody will recommend.
Maybe someday. Save your allowance, kids.
You can get a CX, I think it's 55-inch for about $14, and you can get the BX for like $1,200. And then Vizio uses the same panel. You can get those, you can get a 65-inch for $1,500.
I'd rather just have bigger.
That's why I'm looking at maybe getting that 85-inch. It's not OLED, but I might get. I
don't need the OLED. I just need the size.
I need the OLED. It's life changing.
I'll get that later. I'll get that when the technology's old. That's how I was with PlayStation 4. I didn't get a PlayStation 4 until last year because I bid on it on eBay. I don't need to be the first in line for things. Movies was the only thing. Seeing movies at the movie theater was the only thing that was like for me that I had to be first in line for. I'm not the first in line with the new cell phone, new computer, stuff like that. I'm always the last to get that stuff. And I like it that way because it ends up being cheaper.
I think the only time I got something day one was as far as some electronic was the PlayStation 5, because I knew it probably wasn't going to be available for another year.
Yeah.
If I didn't get it when I had the opportunity to.
iPhone 4, I regret it.
I was going to say, so we've spent the better part of over an hour on this topic. Unless you guys have anything to add, we can go ahead and move on to the next stuff.
Thing.
Do you have another video prepared?
Well, I actually had a couple videos prepared. I didn't realize we had this many.
Even if we don't talk about all the topics, can you please show all of them?
We can watch them afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
So here we go. So I was gonna say, because I picked out a lot of different topics depending on how long we ran and how long the different video topics went. So funny enough, the first set of topics I picked out, what I grouped them into was I picked out a bunch of stories and grouped them into what I called tidbit videos, which are just 3 or 4 stories that I just kind of shoot out, but it's in the same length of time as it took me to read one story in that 2-minute video. Well,
There's no way we could be unmuted for sound bites.
fuck off. The one with the biggest
Can't hear you with that pity dick.
stories on it. Unfortunately, I didn't know what my limit was in terms of megabit uploading. It was just a little over, so I needed to shave a little bit of time off it. Didn't have the time to edit it, so I'm gonna read these ones live.
Wow.
So here you go. The whole point of the video is to avoid this, but hey, man, it's the first week of trying something. That's what happens. So I'm gonna go big on myself.
Respectful and not say anything.
All right, so here we go. So the first few tidbits.
I had to. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So basically, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to run off a couple of stories, and then we can talk about whatever interests you guys out of these set of stories. So here we go. So the first one is last week, The Crew of the New Dawn became just the second major studio release since Tenet released last September. The film opened on Wednesday, November 25th with an intent of trying to capitalize on a 5-day opening. DreamWorks relatively succeeded, opening with $14.2 million over the 5-day weekend, with its 3-day total being $9.7 million. That number is enough to make it the highest opening weekend for a film since COVID-19, just barely passing Tenet's $9.3 million record set in September. While this is nothing compared to last Thanksgiving, in which Frozen 2 made just over $100 million in its second weekend, Universal have publicly stated they consider this an overall success for the times we're in. Due to Universal's 17-day agreement, we are looking at most likely a digital release for the film come Christmas. Our second tidbit story is this week, Star Trek fans got hit with some possible bad news. Writer-director Noah Hawley was doing an interview in which he mentioned that while he is loosely attached to a Star Trek project, he doesn't plan on working on it for a long while. This essentially may put the final nail in the coffin on Star Trek IV with the Kelvin crew. While his movie was never confirmed to be that fourth film in the Kelvin series, with no new information on his film or the S.J. Clarkson film that was announced 2 years ago and has had no movie news in over a year, and recently with the confirmation rumor / bit thing that the Mark L. Smith and Quentin Tarantino project is going to be a gangster-like Star Trek film. It's looking dimmer and dimmer that we'll get a fourth film with the crew that was first introduced by J.J. Abrams in 2009.
Aaron,
our third, yes.
I just have to interrupt because your story is slightly out of date. An interesting development that is related to this.
Did it come up today?
The Kelvin timeline. I just want people to know this because it does have to do with the story. That CBS All Access has released a clip of next week's episode, and that clip mentions the Kelvin timeline in the Prime universe. So just because they're not making a movie with that Kelvin crew doesn't mean that there aren't potential crossovers ahead for the CBS All Access shows, because they have brought that universe into continuity as of now. So that's just one thing I wanted to add to that story, and I'll let you carry on.
So right. I come back to Nikki rambling on about Star Trek. Oh,
no, that was Adam.
I was gonna say to the person who just joined, I'll get to you in a second. But here we go. So the third story in this little set of stories is earlier this week, actor Oscar Isaac was confirmed to be taking on the lead role in the upcoming Sony Pictures film Metal Gear Solid. The movie is going to be based on the video game series of the same name. The role is something that Isaac had previously expressed public interest in doing an interview, so it can only be assumed that this led to discussions when casting came around for the film. The news comes on the heels of Isaac also being announced as a part of Marvel Studios' upcoming Moon Knight show for the MCU, playing the titular character. He also is set to appear in Dune next year and comes on the heels of him ending his tenure with the Star Wars franchise, further establishing Oscar Isaac's appeal in large blockbusters. The film is set to be directed by Kong Skull Island director Jordan Vogt Roberts and is being co-written by Roberts and Jurassic World scribe Derek Connolly. The two have stated that the film will not be based on any direct story from the game, but will instead be its own original story, taking direct elements from multiple different games. The movie has no release date as of now. And finally, the last little story for this bit is while discussing the upcoming Marvel film Black Widow, the movie's stunt coordinator James Young discussed choreographing for the villain of Taskmaster, that's how it's said. In what is a much longer quote that you guys can read on any movie news website, Young discussed the character being one of the hardest he's ever had to coordinate for. For background info, Young has worked on 7 MCU films, with Black Widow being his 8th. And the character, he says the character will go into the film having studied the martial arts moves of multiple different Avengers, citing characters like Captain America, Bucky Barnes, Iron Man, and Spider-Man as all possibilities that he's reacted to, and learned off of. We also know from the trailers that he has looked at Black Panther's fighting style and obviously Hawkeye's. The film is set for release on May 7th, 2021, tentatively, depending on what happens in 5 days, as we just spent the last hour discussing.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Okay, to start with, this is what Solid Snake looks like.
By the way, for anyone wanting continuity, Maddie's back.
Yes, I have a kid sleeping next to me, or I would have my camera on, and
Go ahead, sorry.
we have family over, so unfortunately, he's got to share my room for tonight. So the little guy is sleeping next to me, or I would have jumped on, been face to face. But yes, I have gotten over kind of my mental breakdown and kind of recharged the battery. So yes, I is back.
Go ahead.
So, just kind of the gist on the Metal Gear Solid thing. Basically, that is a spy espionage kind of film. You could put it up there kind of with more Metal Gear Solid opposed to, or not Metal Gear, Mission Impossible opposed to James Bond. It's more of a kind of sneaking around espionage sort of style.
Hiding in a box.
So I'm excited as hell because I grew up playing Metal Gear Solid. That was actually one of my first games I remember beating. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, good for you.
You beat Metal Gear Solid. Good for you.
I was waiting for that.
I never even played it. Like I think I have it somewhere, but I haven't played it.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, like,
all I can say about that, he looks like Deathstroke.
He kind of is a Deathstroke-esque character.
Sword?
Yes, actually, one of them. Like one of the cool things about the PS2 game was, it was the original PS for the PlayStation. They had this guy that could read minds, so he could tell where you're going. Like the trick to it was you would actually unplug your controller and plug it into the player 2 port, so he couldn't read your mind. So it's very interactive.
Huh.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it's still a franchise that's around to this day. I mean, just a couple of years ago, Metal Gear 5, The Phantom Pain came out, and it was reviewed as one of the best games of that year, if I remember. So it's still very much
exclusive, right?
Yes, it's still very much in the zeitgeist of modern day. So Maddie, yeah, you kind of hyped it up in our admin chat as the resident Metal Gear Solid fan. What do you think about Oscar Isaac in particular playing a character that you spent a lot of time with in the games?
I like Oscar Isaac. I think he's a hell of an actor to begin with. So I mean, I'm never wrong with putting talent there. He's got the look for it, so more power to him.
Yeah, I think it's
if they're playing a younger Solid Snake, it would work better. I mean,
like what they're doing
I'd personally rather them follow the Metal Gear Solid storyline itself, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I'm very curious to see, because that's not the first game that's coming up where they've discussed taking elements from the game and then going down their own path. Yeah, I actually think that's the right idea, just because I think sometimes stories in games are built around the gameplay, not necessarily the story itself.
They're built around you being that character.
Right. And so I
that's
think
what they'll do with KOTOR, for sure.
I think that's one of the best approaches they can take. I just think they need to make better movies. Like, I thought Assassin's Creed had the complete right idea about how to make that film. It's just whether it was in the writing, the directing by Justin Kurzel, or whether that movie got fucked up in editing. Somewhere along the line, that movie got fucked up badly.
Yeah, and as a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, it just kind of lost something. There was something missing about it, and they have perfectly good storylines that they could follow. I don't know why you would.
The director didn't play the game.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, So
it wouldn't surprise me if he did because he was like a
gonna,
director, right?
And I was gonna say, since you're a Metal Gear fan, we can dive into this one as well.
There you go.
Chris asked in the comments for clarification on who's directing it. So let me ask you about your opinion on this. The director being Jordan Vogt Roberts, whose biggest film to date was Kong Skull Island. He also directed the small indie film The Kings of Summer. What do you think about that?
I like Kings of Summer.
I like Skull Island.
Skull Island. There was what I didn't like about Skull Island wasn't directed. I mean that wasn't directed based, so I don't see why you'd have a problem with it. I mean,
yeah, I actually like, as someone who's not the biggest kaiju fan in the world, I actually like Kong Skull Island the best out of those three films. And also one of the things, because you're right about that. One of all my problems with Kong Skull Island fall into the writing of it. And if I remember correctly, he did not actually take part in the writing of that film, but he did write Kings of Summer, which I thought was a far better written film. He was just the hired gun to direct Skull Island.
I mean,
and I really liked Kings of Summer. That was a great movie.
I think I need to watch Kong Skull Island again because when I saw it for the first and I guess only time in theaters, speaking of theaters,
and is that a Warner Brothers,
I was in the same.
It is.
Yeah, damn it! I wanted to see that in theaters.
No, but when I saw it, I was in a theater with a very racist man who did not like Samuel L. Jackson, and I think he kind of put together what he said and what he called him. So not a great experience coming out. I don't. He's a racist.
How do you not like Sam Jackson?
Well, Sam Jackson isn't like project. He wasn't portrayed as like this really cool guy that you want to hang out with and do whatever. He's kind of portrayed as a dick, and that guy didn't like it and threw racial slurs. But anyway,
nice.
So maybe I need to watch it then.
Something else I want to point out with Metal Gear itself. It's also being written by Hideo Kamiya. Don't at me if I said his name wrong. He was the game designer, director, and producer and writer of the original Metal Gear Solid games as well. So he knows this world.
Right.
So, and I think it'll perfectly.
That's not always a good thing,
right? But I also think that this franchise fits perfectly for a movie. You know how some games, movies.
Okay. I recognize his name now that I see it. It's Hideo Kojima.
Thank you. I think it fits perfectly. I mean, look at here's a picture of Oscar Isaac and Snake himself. I mean,
yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
it's pretty dead on.
Is that picture from Phantom Pain? That's the most recent one.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
Okay, yeah. So I can see, if you just de-age them a little bit, I can see it in them. Yeah, and again, one of the things that I like about this, which why I included it in the write-up for the story, is because Oscar Isaac, at least once, if not more than once, in interviews, was openly like, if there's any dream role you could play, what would you want to play? I want to play Solid Snake. Put me up for Solid Snake.
Oh, I know, and that right there. That excites me even more because of the fact he's I want to do this. Yeah.
So forgive me.
Which again, just to be on both sides of the table here, Michael Fassbender also really wanted to do Assassin's Creed, so much so that he produced it himself and got in behind it.
But do we really?
So
I always thought
I would love for this to go best case possible. Trust me. Say it again.
There was a time I thought this game was Kurt Russell from Escape from New York.
Oh, fair enough.
So there was a time because that's what I remember this game from, is that I thought, I'm like, they made a Snake game? That's cool.
Well, I mean, it could have been, inspiration for the character.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Snake, they both have eye patches.
And then one, I know not a lot of you guys are wrestling fans, so I'm just going to touch on this really, really quickly. A little nostalgia hit for you. AEW did their big Winter is Coming TV pay-per-view thing, and they announced Sting.
I'm sorry, I had to.
John Cena can suck Sting's dick, man. Come on now. It's come out that he signed a multi-year TV personality deal, which is just fantastic. If you go back and watch our Suplex City breakdown of the week, all 5 of us actually gushed on this for 10 minutes, which is something, if you watch our show, doesn't normally happen.
Will the police be there?
Should be.
Don't stand. Don't stand.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, because you brought up Fantastic Beasts, which is a good example of what happens when the creator that's too close to it goes wrong. One of the reasons, well, potentially, and I also bring it up because I saw Malcolm drop the Fantastic Beasts in the comments as well. Here's the difference between the situation right now with Hideo Kojima versus J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling wrote those first 2 scripts completely unsupervised. Warner Brothers just said, "Oh, you've made us billions of dollars. Here you go," and she wasn't supervised. Whereas Hideo Kojima is co-writing this. Obviously, Jordan Vogt Roberts was involved on the story basis. I don't know how much of the actual script he's writing, but he did develop the story with them. And I'm going to look up so I can get all of his. I'm going to look him up so I can get all his films right. But the person writing it with him is Derek Connolly, who's been writing partners with Colin Trevorrow for years. So he wrote Jurassic World. He wrote the sequel. He wrote Rise of Skywalker. He's writing Dominion. He also was involved in the writing of Kong Skull Island and Detective Pikachu. So he's written bigger films like this before. Most of that filmography is actually very solid. Because honestly, even like the movie I didn't like in Fallen Kingdom, the writing wasn't the issue with that film. I thought it was how it was executed was the problem.
Yeah.
So another thing is that video games are a much more visual audio form of storytelling too.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
JK only knows how to write books, and books can be fleshed out more than movies because you get your characters' inner thoughts. In a video game, you're pretty much getting what you would see if it was a movie. You're just not getting a first-person perspective of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
You don't get the choice in a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm cautiously optimistic. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fair. I'm cautiously optimistic about anything related to video games. I just, there have been some real solid ones very recently. Like, I thought surprisingly Sonic was very solid.
Sonic was good.
Pikachu,
I enjoyed Sonic.
I guess technically Pikachu counts as a video game. That one was solid.
It is because Detective Pikachu was actually... It is a game for it's a mobile game, so it's and it's based on the same name and same premise. So I really enjoyed that.
True. And a lot of people wanted Danny DeVito to voice him because people took him voicing Pikachu and they took what was in the Japanese game and put it in the US.
Yeah.
Yikes. But the Star Trek news, I mentioned when you broke it down that the Kelvin thing. I'm not, and because they mentioned that in such like a subtle way, it was like this clip that they released with Will Wheaton online. That's part of next week's episode. Everything that they're doing right now with Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, I think they know exactly what they're doing, and I don't need them to tell me. Like, I have faith in the people who are working with Star Trek right now.
Yeah, face of the hype.
Yes, I get it. The Archer
it's been long road getting
okay. But even Lower Decks, which
Thank you
was
for
a
contributing
show
this episode, Devin. I appreciate that.
Even Lower Decks.
He's talking. I just want to point it. Do I need to start going away more often? Because when I guess when I'm gone, he talks more often.
Nah, not really. The only thing that changed is they now have a third child in the room sitting next to them.
I saw that.
Yeah,
sorry,
and it's just getting progressively younger.
If you're low, reach me your seats.
Look, they even got him his own mask. Look at that. They had that in the intro.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Very cool.
Sorry, Nikki, you were talking about Star Trek.
And then when Nikki's done, we'll jump on Chris's Hawkeye cast.
I just saw that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
But it's just one of those things that they are kind of massaging the Kelvin timeline into the Prime timeline. Like, they're not merging the two timelines in any sense, but they've mentioned things. Like this clip that I saw, that they've mentioned things.
So on its face value, as the biggest, probably I would venture to say the biggest Star Trek fan of the group,
I would say that's a fair comment.
Do you think?
Oh, that's dangerous grounds to tread on, Bo.
It might be.
All right, Grant. So come in here as well. Do you think it is a loss if we do not get a fourth Star Wars film, whether it comes from Noah Hawley or whether it comes from another filmmaker? Because it's looking more and more like the Tarantino one will no chance in hell of being that film. Do you think it's a loss if we don't get this cast back together?
Yeah. I just think somebody else.
Absolutely not. Not even in the slightest. What they've done to this universe is beyond reprehensible. It allowed them to be able to open the door to shit like Lower Decks and Discovery and everything. And oh my god, like everything that they've done, they've changed. The J.J. Abrams verse, freaking Jar Jar, he's destroyed everything that made it precious.
It's clear he didn't even like Star Trek. He's a Star Wars fanboy and made Star Trek a Star Wars, okay? And then we got Discovery. Then we got Picard. Then we got.
I mean, okay, let's talk about Picard. Picard, the most original thing that they did was rip off a video game. Their originality comes from them ripping something else off.
Exactly.
What video game?
Holy fuck.
It's got a
Mass Effect.
But a video game.
No, what video game?
Mass
Effect.
I never played it. What I want to play.
They're great games, except the last one.
Oh my god! And here's the thing: you take this. This is the problem with modern Star Trek. You take characters who have been established as good and sort of thing, and then you find a way of bringing another character in to do nothing but shit and break them down into nothing.
Why are you so angry about it?
Because I fucking love Star Trek, man.
No, I know, but like here's the thing.
Okay, you want to talk about the insult? The fact of the matter is that they named another episode after two of the greatest freaking ones with freaking Leonard Nimoy in it, and then I had the audacity to throw him in there and basically say the only reason why Spock was as good as he was because of Michael fucking Burnham. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but that show's even poke fun at itself for doing it. She's responsible for everything, and this is all responsible because of the J.J. Abrams universe. Mixing the Prime with the Kelvin, it's a design for disaster.
So let me pitch you this then. All right. So if you're not interested in anything with the Kelvin, as the two Star Trek fans here, let me pitch you this then. The other part of that article, which may have been openly confirmed before, but it was new information to me, is that the story that's being worked on by Quentin Tarantino and Mark L. Smith, who, for anyone who doesn't know, was the writer of both The Revenant and Overlord, is potentially a film set in a small pocket area of the Star Trek universe that is inspired by 1930s era gangsters. How does that potentially hit you in any sort of positive way of, okay, it's not Kelvin, it's definitely not going to be original, but it's a new direction.
I like the idea.
And that's fine. That doesn't need to be linked to anything. Some of the best. I'm going to go back to the comic book. Some of the best comics you like are standalone ones that are set in a universe that has already things established. Then do that. Do a one-off story about something like that. But what'll happen is it'll be successful because it's Quentin fucking Tarantino, and they'll try and change something about it. And then in 10 years' time, when they do the TV series adaptation, everything that he built in that one will then be shit on. That's the downwork that they do.
How would you feel about it? There's a big time gap, because I hear what you're saying. You don't have to connect everything to Spock. You don't have to connect everything to that original show. There's hundreds of Starfleet ships during multiple different time periods. You don't have to keep going to the same people. What would you think about a show that takes place in between the end of Star Trek Enterprise and the beginning of Strange New World? Because that's a time period we haven't explored yet. That's where I want to go next.
This is the problem. I want to go from the end of the last one that we saw. I want to go forward. I don't want to go backwards, because when they go backwards, they retcon
Discovery
shit.
went forward.
No, Discovery's the prequel that they tried to freaking change by going forward, and then they changed fucking everything. No more Vulcans, fucking Earth are bad guys. The only reason why Spock was any good was because of Michael fucking Burnham.
Oh, okay.
They destroyed everything.
Here's
the thing. They ignored all the wars. There's supposed to be a fucking intergalactic war going on now.
But what do you want them to do?
I want to see a bit of hope, for fuck's sake. This is Star Trek. This was the one thing that they had. Everything was supposed to be hopeful. It was supposed to be This is the best version of humanity. Yet they're still worrying now. They've had fucking 10 minutes devoted to pronouns and everything. We got past
I hated
This is
that.
the fucking 35th century.
Yeah, we shouldn't still be talking.
They're bringing stuff into it that doesn't need to be brought into it.
Yeah, that was them filleting themselves. Like that was them saying, "Hey, look at us! We're being politically inclusive." When they've always been politically inclusive, they've always had non-binary people on Star Trek.
Of course they have. They have the trill like that, and you had one of the manliest characters that ever was in Star Trek marry one of them.
Jetsia Dax. I love Jetsia Dax.
But
I'm so glad she's not Dax, because I would not have wanted her to be Dax or them. I'm sorry, them. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with them being them. I have a problem with them
dedicating so much airtime to it. Like nothing happens. What's happened this season? They've gone from place A to place B, and the entire along the way, all they do is they go, "Oh, by the way, Michael Burnham, do you know how fantastic you are? You're the greatest thing ever. You are. You don't know, but you are. By the way, you're now demoted, but we're still going to keep you a second officer. Oh, by the way, we're now going to upgrade an ensign to second officer, and you're going to spend half the episode crying about it."
She did obey the chain of command this past week. I will say that she did obey the chain of command.
Oh yeah, one time out of 3 seasons.
No, everything you are saying is completely true. Like everything you're saying is completely true. I just like it anyway. Like that's the difference between us.
Yeah.
All right. So
Grant is gone.
Bye, Grant. We love you.
All right.
Well, that was entertaining as fuck.
I feel bad. I don't want him to be that angry about something that I love. Like it's heartbreaking.
Did he drop or did he? Okay. So, anyways, let's go ahead. All right. So let's go ahead and move into the next thing. Yeah. So I didn't have it in the notes because if I'm being totally honest, I forget TV exists. But Hawkeye did have some.
What's TV? Can somebody explain that to me?
Television.
Matt, bring up your 85-incher. Can you?
Yeah. What's that OLED? Dolby Atmos, whatever your mother.
Wait, no, Matt, you got the big one.
That one wasn't it.
No. He just brought up a picture.
Yeah.
I brought up the picture. This isn't an OLED. This is
sorry.
Yeah, OLED's better, but this is bigger.
It's all about quality versus size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No?
That's what she said.
Do you want one that's big or one that can go more than once?
Here it is, 85-inch.
That TV. See, I'd rather have that TV than a PlayStation 5 because you'll be using that beauty every day.
I use my
Matt,
PlayStation every day.
That's your next major purchase?
I'm probably going to get the OLED. The one that's $1,000 more. That's about the same size.
So you get all of your money on sports betting or just some of it?
Some.
Okay. We'll talk.
Yeah, you know the character of Walter White in Breaking Bad is based off of Matt.
Yeah.
Can I be Aaron Paul?
No.
Sure.
Only if you're like Jesse, the original written way where he dies in the first season.
Okay. I'm good with that.
So,
how did he die?
Anyways, we can talk. We'll move on to Hawkeye because Hawkeye did have some big announcements this week. They not only released set pictures, but we also have confirmation of the cast, which the leads of the show include the confirmation of the long-rumored Haley Steinfeld taking on the role of Kate Bishop. We also have Vera Farmiga appearing as her mother. We also have a dog. We also have Florence Pugh making her second appearance in the MCU as Yelena Belova, also known as most likely the new Black Widow. Among other members of the cast include a character named Jack DeQuince, who is Barton's mentor, and a character based on the comic character Echo, who is a deaf Native American who can copy other people's movements.
Is it being played by
Taskmaster?
It's also been confirmed that obviously we saw through set pictures that the show has undergone filming. We also now have confirmation that the show is in fact heavily influenced on Matt Fraction's 2011 Hawkeye run. That has been confirmed with the writing and the shooting. We also know who some of the directors on the show are going to be. A certain number of episodes will be. It's not going to be like WandaVision, where every episode was directed by the same person. A couple of episodes will be directed by a directing duo called Bert and Bertie, who made their first big film this year called Troop Zero on Amazon. The other director directing a set of episodes will be director Rhys Thomas, who's worked on a bunch of TV shows, most recently from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix.
Wow. That's kind of disappointing, to be honest, about the directors.
I
like Mando type.
It is.
And it also takes place in 2025, just so...
Yes, that is correct. It is confirmed to take place in 2025.
What Earth will look like then, we don't know. I mean, we may have survived the snap at that point.
It'll look like New York, which is where they're filming.
Yeah. Somebody should just put like a news report, like just take footage from Endgame with all those boats, and just meanwhile...
Nikki,
that's
what it'll look like.
Yeah, it looks like New York. So what do you guys think? You know, we got some cast confirmation, we got some plot point confirmation. I don't know if you can see it in those pictures, but we do know that one of the things that may be inspired by the Matt Fraction run, and I believe other historical pieces of comics, is if you look closely, Jeremy Renner has an earpiece in. That could be indicating that he might be suffering from some sort of hearing loss. Which is a thing for Hawkeye in the comics. What do you guys think? You know, this is one of those shows that got announced and then just kind of hasn't had any fanfare behind it ever since. I personally have been super excited because I've never read it, but I've heard a lot about that Matt Fraction run of comics, and I always felt like if we just took Bourne Legacy and made it a Hawkeye film, it would probably work really, really well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited for this. I know that's real loose, but
I'm one of those people that thought that if they had released a Hawkeye movie between Infinity War and Endgame, that movie would have made $200 million opening weekend, just because of how high the Marvel hype was. And now that it's after Endgame, and like COVID does it too, we're in a cool down. Like we're past the cool down lap for Endgame, and now we're waiting. Like we're waiting again.
So the way I look at it is I like the fact that we're getting something like this, considering, yes, it's
good timing.
That Hawkeye could be enhanced. You know, they haven't officially said it, but they've never not said it either. But basically, he's a human with a bow that's really talented. I like that idea because
I love him.
Most of the Marvel superheroes,
he's got a sword too, Maddie.
They're godlike. You know, they have, you know, massive abilities or super suits. He's just a regular spy, you know. Him and Romanoff, which is what makes me excited about the Black Widow movie too, is the fact that they're regular people and they're more of a spy thriller. Now, I know this isn't a very unpopular opinion, but I actually like Jeremy Renner's Bourne movie. I really enjoy it. Now, I'm not terrible. I'm not the biggest fan of the Bourne films. I watched them a while ago. Maybe I need to rewatch them. But I actually like the fact that it was set in the same world, but it was more of a, you know, spy espionage kind of movie. Right. So maybe if they go that route with him, I'm all for it. And
I think the Bourne title was the baggage there.
Yeah, I do too. I think if they would have called it maybe something else, you know,
the Renner identity,
whatever his name was, a Bourne story, or
Aaron Cross,
Aaron Cross, a Bourne story, or whatever it is that would have gone off. Haley Steinfeld, she's a good actor, so you know, add more talent.
Hold up, I just looked it up to find what his name is. Ryan, how did you know that so quickly?
Because I actually saw it.
I mean, I saw it too, but I had no way I'd remember that. I saw it years ago.
Well, I partially enjoyed the film myself. I think it just fell down to where his name, it kind of fit, though. I mean, like, I don't know what it was. The name of Aaron Cross definitely sounded good.
It was the trailer, too, because they stood into that's Aaron Cross.
They should have called it Jeremy Renner Presents Aaron Cross, a Bourne story.
Don't you know who that is?
Oh, my God, that's James Bourne. John Bourne, whatever his name is. Jason Bourne.
Oh, my God, that's Jack Oh, no, it's not.
Hey, Brett, what's up, buddy? It's the voice of God.
What's going on, man? I didn't rage quit earlier. My my internet died on my phone. I apparently connected to a free Wi-Fi hotspot downtown, but I need the password, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So,
you know, he says, "Fuck Nikki, I'm out."
Honestly, I will agree with Chris's comment. I think the Brenner film is just fine. It is better than the last and Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne was not very good.
No, it wasn't. That was disappointing.
the last film is technically not in canon, according to Patterson, who was the one that wrote the books. Damn it, I can't think. He said.
I think I know what you're talking about, but the film itself, the Jason Bourne film, it's supposed to be kind of the way they had.
Yeah, I'm saying from the author's perspective, he's like, this isn't my story. Yeah, this isn't a part of. Yeah, so.
Hold on. Let me look it up.
Well, hold on. Ludlum died before the first film ever got made. Are you talking about somebody else?
Okay, well, I must be talking about someone else then. It was something about it. As I said, I'm not a huge Bourne fan. Seriously, I couldn't even remember his name. I just called him like Jake Bourne or Jackson Bourne or something a second ago. So
yeah,
I'm only remembering bits of trivia that I've picked up over the years.
I thought it was all right. You know, Matt Damon, Alicia Vikander, Riz
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed that they killed Clive Owen off in the first film.
Wasn't bad.
Well, maybe he's going to take, the next Sean Bean role and just, start dying in the first episodes. And Nikki and them left.
I feel like their internet also have to have dropped. That was too abrupt for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that thing about Jason Bourne. I didn't mean to upset Nikki. I mean, I can swear to him about Star Trek, but Jason Bourne is where he draws the line.
If an author did make a comment about the Bourne, then I completely believe it because I've actually read the trilogy, the actual trilogy. The books and the movies are two totally different things.
Yeah.
Like in the books, there's one consistent villain based. I think his name actually is Carlos the Jackal, based off the real life person Carlos the Jackal. Also, one of the big things in the first film, Chris Cooper's character, who was antagonistic towards him and then is killed at the end of the film, becomes his ally in the books and lives throughout the whole trilogy. So even from
that would have been a much more interesting dynamic.
I think so too. I think that's one of the mistakes the first film made was killing Chris Cooper off. I think he could have done a good job in the sequels. But even like his girlfriend dying in the second one, she survives the whole thing. Like they changed all sorts of aspects. They basically just said, okay, here's like a manuscript of the book. Let's just do our own thing from there.
Right.
Well, I mean, they've kind of done that in a lot of things recently, though. I mean, if you look at Ready Player One, that is a completely, totally different film opposed to the book. The book was absolutely
good.
Wow.
And if you read the reviews of Ready Player 2, the movie will also be something totally different because apparently that book sucks.
Yeah, see, in this one, someone's going to enter a cheat code which no game has ever thought of before, like driving backwards.
So
Fuck me, sorry.
So wait, you mean it's kind of like Pixels all over again?
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about fucking Pixels.
I mean,
I had to be a dick there.
That movie is a waste of what little talent any of those guys had.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could have been worse. But it also could have been a lot better.
The fact that we're at that point in Adam Sandler's career where it's like, listen, it could have been the Ridiculous Six. Like, it could have got so much worse. Like,
I mean, they had some serious star power in that movie too, which is what's sad. They had on a writing level. Like it was bad on a writing level, not just a. Yeah, Chris, I mean, you're not wrong. It could have been Jack and Jill, but I mean, at least in Jack and Jill, you had Al Pacino just going all kinds of fucking bananas.
Dude, the moment where Pixels lost me was when they revealed that Kevin James was the president. I just went, in what world did that idiot become president? And then a year later, an idiot became president. And so I guess, that world.
Remember, now you've got to bring politics into it.
Oh, what happened?
The least political film on the planet, and you bring politics into it.
Well, I mean,
this guy, that guy in that film, he served your country. He was a mall cop at one stage, I believe.
Yeah, true.
You're true. He did start from the ground. God damn it, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Duncaccino.
I mean, who does
Duncaccino, yeah, exactly.
Duncaccino.
There you go.
Oh. God.
I mean, who doesn't
Never going to watch Jack.
Can I just say?
Jack
A couple of my best friends had never seen Jack and Jill and didn't really know anything about it. And the way I introduced them to the movie was I looked up on YouTube just the separated clip of the Duncan. Yes, just the separated clip of the Duncan. Yes, just the separated clip of the Duncaccino stuff. Played it, and after that played, I turned to them.
We're in a blizzard here.
Speaking of that.
Oh wow.
Brewing at D&D. I was gonna end broadcast.
All right, here.
Oh my God, this again. Jesus.
What the hell?
It's not Al anymore. It's Dunk.
Duncaccino?
Don't mind if I do. What's my name?
Duncaccino.
It's a whole new game.
Duncaccino.
You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend. Say hello to my chocolate blend.
There's that.
Is that considered racist now? That line?
It was probably considered racist back then, if it is.
It's just tasteless, honestly.
I think Maddie was like, yeah.
I mean, for a line that uses the word chocolate and it's also tasteless, that's pretty bad.
So I was going to say, this is how I explained Jack and Jill. I showed them that clip. They turned to me and went, "What the hell is that?" And I was like, "That's the most normal thing in the film." Adam Sandler has a pair of double D tits as well. Yeah. And they were like, "Why did people see this?"
Doesn't he date Al Pacino in the movie too?
He does. He does date.
Yeah, but still tries to date.
It's so bad, but I love it.
He dates Duncaccino.
They need to release a 4K version. I need to see Duncaccino. Look ahead, bird.
All right, Grant. Are you? All right, wait, Grant. Are you like training to fight an American boxer? Is this like the reverse of Rocky?
Jake Paul versus Grant.
Yeah, like I started off fit, but by the end of the walk, I'm actually getting quite fat. So. Yeah, actually, I managed to walk downstairs and thought that was an achievement. So,
hey, new achievement unlocked.
New achievement unlocked. I'm actually watching a few. Do you guys have magpies over in your country? They're like a black and white crow.
I know they are. Yeah.
Oh, maybe at some zoos, but I mean, I've never.
Not really. Yeah, they're not really like common, but you've.
Yeah, that's seen.
They swoop. It's their mating season, and that was a young'un, so they tend to swoop. So I'm taking shelter underneath a tree, and now they're being distracted. I can leave.
Okay.
I mean, even in Australia, even the birds try and kill you.
Okay, so should we discuss the fact that he's being attacked by birds and he went to hide under a tree, something they live in? I mean,
yeah, but they can't swoop. They're flighted animals.
Correct. What is happening to everyone's internet tonight? There goes Ryan.
I don't know.
No, I said something insensitive, and I apologize, Ryan. I'll make it up to you.
What, like the fact that everything tries to kill you in Australia?
Oh
no, I don't know. I have a habit of making people feel uncomfortable, so I'm apologizing in advance. I'm also just publicly denouncing white supremacy, just in case it came up in this stream. So,
So you know who I'm a huge fan of? David Duke.
Wow.
No,
that's a simple feller.
Oh wow. I thought the stuff that I said got demonetized, but
sorry. I meant Topher Grace's portrayal of him in Black Panther.
I knew you were talking about that.
Yeah,
that's why I agreed with you.
Understand? Yes.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
I just wanted to watch.
Thank God Ryan wasn't in here when we were talking about that. Anyway, speaking of Disney Plus and Hulu from a while ago, when we were talking about the whole movies digital thing, it's rumored that Disney Plus and Hulu are going to merge and just be one platform.
I kind of expected that a while.
That's what I thought would happen. Maybe not this fast, but eventually. Hulu, yeah. Dulu Plus. Hulu Plus.
Yeah. Dizzle?
That sounds like a premium poop you pay for. The Dulu Plus package.
Yikes.
And then you have the kids version, so it'll be just Junior Dulu or Dulu
Junior Dulu.
Yeah. It's the screenwriters that couldn't come up for a sequel for Dr. Dolittle 3, and they went, "Oh, it's Dulu." We'll just call him Dulu.
I mean, that's what the Robert Downey Jr. one was. It was Dulu.
But they might actually, because we were talking about how December 10th was going to be a very important
Ryan,
day.
I see that reaction to my joke, and I respect it.
Yeah, we might get the day. Dulu's going to come out. I thought it was hilarious.
Thank
hilarious
you.
Joke.
It was funnier than anything in that fucking movie. Christ almighty.
What happened on December 10th? What did I miss?
Oh, December 10th, Disney's having, it's from earlier in our discussion about HBO. Disney's having their shareholders meeting on December 10th, so they might possibly announce any plans for them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Hulu merging with Disney after seeing the rumor pop up on Facebook. And then I also think they're going to announce it's going to be all digital.
I like how Matt changed his prediction just because he saw something pop up on Facebook. He's like, yeah, that'll be true.
Well, I thought that was going to happen eventually, but
Matt saw it on the internet, so it must be true.
Yeah, Abraham
Lincoln. You know what else I saw on the internet recently? Apparently there's this tag team group called D's Nuts. They're going to be making their debut soon. I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, they're going to be going along with Sledgehammer.
Do we have a trivia league?
Do we have a trivia league? I don't know.
First I've heard of it.
Shit. Someone should put us in charge of that. I don't
know, buddy. If you do, buddy, Ryan will end up champion like he does in every other freaking league.
Yeah. Well, if I do become champion, I might as well just be a solo champion because I've gotten no freaking challengers in any league anyway.
Is that like an open invitation?
Is that an open invitation?
I mean, it could be.
Shit, let's put it out there. Who wants to play Ryan in TMG singles? Just anybody at this point. Who just wants to try?
Who wants to potentially?
Okay, put it this way. The last match that I had
in that division. It's like I'm gonna. I don't know what.
The last match I had in trivia was a week and a half ago. I played Chris Diaz in an IG match, and he KO'd me. So yeah, I'll jump in. Why not? Let's have a go.
Wow.
I ended up on 0 points at the end of the game.
How the hell did you end up with 0 points?
Round 2 and 3 are minus. You get them all right. You get them wrong.
Yikes. And Black Widow going to Disney Plus. I don't think they'll officially confirm that till later.
I don't think they'll do it.
I think that's the only guarantee. Black Widow can be in the definitely.
I think if they're going to announce it going to digital, because I think the rumor was March would be the theatrical release of it.
It's May.
It's May.
It's May 7th.
May. Okay. Well, as far as I know, the only shareholder meeting before that time, maybe there's one right before, but the only one I can think of is December 10th. And if they're going to announce it, they might as well announce it.
Do they do them quarterly or bi-quarterly?
I think quarterly, but so I don't know if there's going to be one in April or if there's going to be one in May.
Wouldn't there be one around April or March?
Maybe I don't know.
It really depends on what property that this is going to be. This is going to be a.
I think that's going digital for sure at this point. I think with what Feige wants to do with the shows at this point, if you're going to keep delaying it to May when you have some of the other shows coming out, those might have important things to the.
They had one at least this year, March 11th, 2020.
Okay, so maybe they will have them in March. But I think they're going to announce it in December, whether it's going to or not. I think you're going to get a definitive answer. And like I said, I think they're going to announce that it's going to be like Warner Brothers. They're going to go at least digital and theatrical. Maybe not throughout the entire year, but at least till July. That way you get halfway through the year, okay, is this thing done for, or is it still going on? And if it's still going on, they'll have another thing where they'll say, yeah, everything else is going to be on there too.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at is they have one every year in the mid-March.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we'll see one then next year as well. But I think they're going to hold off as long as possible because of the fact that Black Widow is it's in May, for crying out loud.
Uh-huh.
I think it'll, take it'll take its time, and then they'll decide from there where they go.
Well, and how I see it though, and this is what I was saying, it's been pushed so much, they might as well just get it over with now. There's already been shareholders urging Disney to put it on Disney Plus. Like they've been saying, hey, we need this to be out now because you can't sit on a movie for so long. I mean, they're having some you can, but like with something like a Black Widow or whatever, yeah, it's not going to make $1 billion, but you can't just sit on it. That's how I view it. But just knowing how bad theaters have been doing lately, you could release it in theaters and digital, but 95% of the people are going to choose digital because they're already at home. It's not going to cost them as much if they're going to charge for it. I think something like Black Widow.
There is that notion to always look at. Honestly, it is that notion to always look at. But I still believe that there's going to be some people, like maybe not 90%, maybe not 10%, but I think there's still going to be people that still would like to go outside and have that theater experience, even if not. Right. There's people that don't want to be like. Look, you're right. If you're comparing the two options there for people to go out or to go at home regarding seeing a movie that's not going to cost them. That's probably going to cost them a third of the price it's going to cost them for a movie ticket at an actual theater. Then I definitely understand that. But at the same time, the theater experiences or these just going out in general is something that people want. They desperately need. So depending on what Disney Plus is going to do with their slates, depending if it's going to be Black Widow or it just feels to me that they want a solid plan. They're going to try to at least propose something that doesn't try to look like it's going to cause a huge backlash over certain theater companies like AMC. And they want to make sure it's still going to at least be very pleasing to the audience at home. Because like we've constantly mentioned, Warner Brothers, they did this literally out of the blue. Like they had a plan. They're like, oh, we're not going to wait or anything. We're just going to announce this and then see how people are going to react. This has given Disney more time to have a better response.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, I mean, me personally, I would rather see every single movie in a theater. That's the best way to watch it to me. Only way that would change is if they release like TV screens the size of movie theaters, or they sold movie theater like screens to the public. If they did something like that, okay, that changes it because, like I said, I'm getting a surround sound system. It replicates the theater surround sound. Like it's incredible how good it sounds, and it's only 4 speakers too, which is even crazier. But like I love the theater experience. If I had to choose between seeing Black Widow in theaters and at home, even though I don't necessarily need to see it, I'm gonna go see it in theaters because it's the best way to go see it, and that's if I go see it, which I probably would. But for me, or how I see it is, a lot of people just don't care anymore because going out in public is cool and all, but there's people that don't like going to the movies as much because you have people on their phones, you have people talking. Theaters can smell sometimes, not all of them, but there's some that kind of smell a little bit. Somebody could have got a little handy, in the seat that you're sitting in. People don't like that thought in their head of that being happening. So they're like, okay, I have a really good home theater, which you can get for like $100-$200 at most. And I have a really good TV. I can sit at home. I can pay $30 at most, which I don't think they would do if they go on digital just because of what happened with Mulan. So it's like, oh, even better. I'm already paying $7 whatever because of Mandalorian for Disney Plus. Now I can watch Black Widow at home, and I don't have to pay an extra dime. I'll just do that, especially because we're also living in a time where money is tighter for like most people. Now, if like you're a CEO or something like that, it might be different, but money is definitely tighter just with everything going on. So, if you have the option of seeing it for cheaper or even for free when you're already paying, whatever for it, you're going to go with that is how I see it. And I think that's how others see it, at least for the year. Now, 2022, let's say theaters do well enough to just barely make it out. If they go back to the theater experience, which I don't know if they will, because if they can kind of save costs from, paying theaters for playing their movies. They might do that. That's another thing I think they're considering. That gives them even more money. They may not do that, but if they're going back to the theaters, awesome. Maybe 2022, a lot more people start going back. But I just think next year, I don't think a lot of people are going to go out to the movies, even if they would want to, because they're still afraid of potentially getting it and getting other people sick. So I think that's why Warner Brothers did that too, and I think Disney's thinking that in the whole thing, and this whole being for free.
That could be our next step. Is just movies go back and forth. We can put them on digital as well as regular streaming. At the same time. I mean, it was. Because I actually think Warner Brothers did the smartest move they could. If people want to see it in theaters, good, they're going to go see it. But it does give them the opportunity to go see it,
Yeah, that's true.
So, a lot of people are bagging on Warner Brothers from it. I actually think they made the best.
Hello. But
even without Nikki's family, we still have a small child.
Say hello? Say hello to the boys? Yeah, big wave. Yeah, big wave. Yeah.
Hey, Grant, can you see the screen? By the way, that was dropped a little bit ago.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll start writing that right away.
Yes.
Absolutely.
First, one of us has to actually watch the Star Trek films, but
No,
we'll do it.
No, he said Star Trek. He didn't say Star Trek movies. He said Star Trek. So that includes everything. So you've got 899 hours worth of stuff to watch in the next.
Somebody. You have a nerdy friend we could hire. Shit, Devin, if you're watching next to Nikki, can we hire you to write the question?
I don't want Nikki's wife to do the questions. Come on now.
Oh, smack talk.
That's fun.
Sorry, I'm already cutting the promo.
Yeah, apparently.
So, all right, guys, thanks for having me on. I'm gonna head off. It was an absolute pleasure in that, and good seeing everyone. And yeah, so say goodbye. Say goodbye. Big wave.
Night.
Big wave.
She's like, well, I was going to hit you with a pillow, but I ain't doing it on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't see anything.
Get him. Punch him. Get him. Yeah, it's a
there you go.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.
Later, man.
Yeah.
So back to Disney. I think that they're going to hold off as long as possible, maybe give it another month or two just to see. Maybe in the call they'll go, look, we're thinking about doing this, but we want to wait and see what happens because we've got the vaccine coming. Maybe once that starts, things will start to turn its course and people will start going back to the movies. When we went to the movies last, Caleb and I went to another special screening recently.
Yeah.
And
one that you can say on air or no?
No.
We'll talk after.
They don't. Yeah, they always have you sign something so you don't talk about what you saw at the theater.
Wonder Woman. He saw Wonder Woman.
Yes. No, this was actually a kids movie. Anyways, after we left the movie, because the movie was at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, so it was about four when we got out. There was quite a few people at the theaters still. Now, granted, Arizona's leaning towards another lockdown, but I think that their best bet would be to hold off, and if they're going to, release it on Disney Plus. Keep their release date in theaters and just drop them both at the same time.
Well, and they could do like a whole, we're going to do digital until April or May. They could do that too, because they do have stuff coming out in January, February, or supposed to. I think that Raya and the Last Dragon, I think that was supposed to come out this year, and I think got pushed a few months. I could be wrong. It might be even longer. I thought I saw it was like February or March. But I know they have stuff coming out January, February, March, both from them and Fox. So they could be like, look, until April, we're just going to have everything on digital and then kind of play it by ear based on how the whole pandemic looks. And if they think it's still real bad, then, they'd be like, okay, maybe in March, like, well, seeing how everything is at the moment, we're gonna have to push it to
Ray and the
August.
Last Dragon is March 12th, 2021.
March 12th. Okay, so that's like right around there. So yeah, it could be March or April is when they do digital until until they think it could be done. And if they think it's still going to continue to, like, let's say August, September, they can be like, okay, everything until August is going to be digital, and then continue to go on that path. Because like I said, if they release like big movies on Disney Plus, yeah, they might take a loss as far as what they invested in that movie. They may not make as much as they could. However, in the long game, it's going to add more people to Disney Plus, and then you're going to get to that point where Disney Plus will make Disney $7 billion, $8 billion, 10, 15, to the point to where they don't need to charge to go, for you to watch those movies. They can be like, look, if you want to watch the new Avengers movie, you have to have Disney Plus. Pay $8, $9, whatever it is at that point, and then you can watch that for free. But after the subscription cost.
Yeah.
And then it just adds more people to it. That's why at first I was like, there's no way. They'll go theaters, yada, yada, yada. And then after seeing the math of what they're going to make as years go on, it looks like they don't need theaters. Maybe at the beginning, but like after 2021, they probably don't need theaters. Plus, like I said, they can afford the loss because they have the theme park still. They have merchandising. They have they have a bunch of stuff they can make money off of.
Which,
they have TV.
To be fair, in COVID mode, they're not making as much money off of them as they normally would, because they're having to limit attendance and limit certain things, and it's not like this unlimited money stream that it was before. Of like,
still making money.
We're just going to casually turn nearly $1 billion in profit in a day, just like off the theme park.
Like they were making $30 million at the theme parks. Now they're probably making 5 to 10, maybe 15, if they're lucky.
Maybe somewhere around there. Maybe.
Yeah, but they're still making money.
To be fair, they're also saving a lot of money from all the people they've laid off, but that's another problem.
True. Yeah, that's another thing. But they can afford the hit. They can afford the hit. It's not like they're a company that is dying. They can afford to take a hit this year with their movies, but then make that back and even more, next year and the year after. Because, that's how Netflix is looking at it. They're looking at it in the long game.
I was going to say, Chris brought up Hamilton, where I guess they when you get Disney Plus, you can't just download it and then cancel your subscription. As somebody who is subscribed to AMC A-List for movies, A-List has a policy where when you sign up, you have to contract for 3 months. And that's it. You cannot cancel within 3 months. And if you do cancel, then you're out for 6 months until you can re-sign up.
Yeah.
Do you think streaming services will start to adapt that type of a model? Because I think that's the way you get money out of people. Because, Disney Plus had a huge subscription drop in the early parts of the year because, if you're our age, you had Mandalorian. If you're my little sister's age, you had the High School Musical show. And then they had fuck all for 6 months. Right. And it's like, of course, you're not going to pay for a service unless you're actively invested in watching something. They had nothing.
Sure.
Clone Wars came out, but Clone Wars was niche. It's not going to be widespread. Yeah. And there was nothing to draw in new audiences.
Yeah.
They were even trying to release some of the the kid Disney programs that was on the Disney Channel.
Right. Essentially, they're
you guys are forgetting the Jeff Goldblum show. That was
on launch. That was a launch show. Which is exactly my point. They've had nothing since launch, and I, complete and open honesty, just out of pure fucking curiosity, I actually watched that High School Musical show better than Disney Channel. It's better than Disney Channel for sure.
Yeah. It's hard to be better than the second movie, but I've heard good things. The second movie is great.
It's the third movie. Let's all be real.
The third movie went to theaters, hence it's the best, right?
And that felt more Disney Channel original movie than the second one.
Is it just because they had a nice pool? Is that why you liked that one?
Great. The songs are great.
Disney Plus.
Not gonna stop telling it to the top. It's a great.
But that's exactly it, though, right? Is Disney Plus launched with all this content right at the beginning, and then had fuck all for ages.
They had nothing for a
and
while.
that's why people were canceling. Do you think streaming services could start to enact something like what A-List has in an attempt to keep people, even if just contractually, to the service? Because that's one of the things for me. I didn't reactivate my A-List for a little bit because which this is one of the things I actually really liked. A-List gave you the option, and they said, look, okay, if you aren't going to see movies regularly, we're not going to charge you until you reactivate your account. However, come December 31st, if you are not reactivated, you either cancel or we reactivate you, and that's that. So they gave you time. So like when I was seeing, I recently reactivated it this month, but when I was seeing maybe just a movie or two a month, I was just paying for the ticket because they were basically all $5 anyways.
Yeah.
And so I've reactivated it now, but because I want to go and see a couple of the new movies that have come out. But do you think services will do that? Because, like, for example, if let's just say there was a bigger gap between Mandalorian and WandaVision, right? Let's say WandaVision was March. So Mando season 2 is coming to an end, and someone like us is looking at it and going, oh, well, they're not going to have WandaVision until March. Fuck that, I'm canceling. But before you cancel, there's that little, remember, if you cancel, you are unsubscribed for 6 months. I cannot resubscribe.
I don't think they'll do the 6 month thing.
So I think there would still be a way to get around that. You could just restart up with a different email and password.
What I think they could do, well, they could keep track of your card. I think too. They could implement that.
I believe part of A-List is also a card. Like you can't use your same card again. It's all locked for 6 months.
Well,
unless you're someone that has like 3 of everything, then I guess. But
I meant with the card thing, like credit cards. It's like, this card was associated with this account, so we cannot use it because we don't steal money, even though they know other people are gonna make multiple accounts like me. But what I think they could do is, do the whole, if you're gonna sign up, you have to stay on for 2 or 3 months, but don't do the whole, well, if you cancel, you can't come back for 6 months. Because that's like them looking at it like, well, we're not going to make as much money because that might be somebody going, well, okay, I don't need to have it for 6 months, I could pirate.
Well, what they could do. Go ahead. Sorry.
What I think they could, and I think it's very likely, is 2 or 3 months you have to be subscribed and you have to pay those accounts, whether you pay it up front or you have to pay monthly. But I don't think they're going to do, well, if you cancel, you can't come back. I think if you cancel, they'll let you come back the next day if you want to. Because
and I think what they could do too is, like Matt was saying, is keep track of the card. And if you try and renew, even with a new password, if the card is the same, you're going to get charged.
Right.
And just set it up that way. So, that kind of, just because like at one time, the WWE Network, you could, do your 30-day subscription and then on the 29th day, cancel it, re-sign up with a new password or with a new email, and you get another 30 days. And you could continuously do that. Now they've monitored cards. So if a card...
So I was going to say, just because I don't know if you guys want to end in a little bit, but I have one more thing I want to throw out there, which I find interesting. And
definitely jump.
I was gonna say one more thing. Somebody, I remember reading it in a comment section talking about this HBO thing. Since we're back on it, I might as well bring it up. Somebody put a comment that said, from a business standpoint, a lot of all of this makes sense, but I think there's a factor they may not have thought about. By taking a movie that's going to theaters and to streaming at the exact same time, you are giving it a 100% higher chance of pirating immediately due to the fact the film will be released on a base pay streaming service with no extra charge for free at home. Do you think pirating will become a bigger issue within the next year if movies do this?
I think it will, but I think...
it's to be expected, honestly.
With the amount of people that are going to be on those subscription services anyway, because I don't think it will affect it, because, look at Netflix. Netflix has, a butt ton of followers, but or subscribers, but you could technically pirate all that stuff day one.
I guess, but I feel like there's a difference. I feel like there's a difference between the new Netflix film and Godzilla versus Kong, a theatrical film being put to a streaming service. Like there's a very rate difference.
But the thing with the whole HBO Max and whatnot is, you can pretty much have it included with your cable thing if you still have cable, or if you have YouTube TV, you can get included. So I mean, I don't think they're as worried about that anyway. I think just with how many people are going to be on HBO Max because of HBO, and just with the more people going on it, I mean, I don't think it's like they're going to take a big hit. I think, honestly, between Disney and HBO Max, I think the HBO Max has a higher chance of getting to that $7 billion, $8 billion profit faster than what Disney does, just because of.
But I definitely need to jump. I've been. Yeah, no, it's not just time wise, but I've constantly been having my roommate just interrupt me, asking me to, ask me when I'm finished, because unfortunately I think our Wi-Fi is limited, so it's kind of like I'm using the portion, so now he wants to use the rest of the Wi-Fi. So I'm like, I'll save him some time.
All right, see ya.
All right, you guys have a good one.
I didn't realize how long we were going for.
Yeah, I mean that conversation went outside of the 10-minute dickery of our intro. Yeah. That conversation went well over an hour.
At least an hour and 10 minutes.
I think it could lead to more piracy because of people like me who.
At least you're honest. At least you're honest.
Well, because all of my TVs run through Roku and they don't have the deal with Roku yet. I would actually have to hook up my computer to my TV and then, run my computer through my TV to use HBO.
Right.
That's why right now we don't have it. That's why we don't have it right now, is because of the fact that I would have to go out. I mean, I'm going to buy a Fire Stick here eventually soon, but I would rather
Is it still not on Roku?
No.
No, I think it's going to be by Christmas, though, especially with Wonder Woman. I think they're going to try to get as many people on as possible.
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
And as it is, they're also knocking off their free trial.
Yeah.
Because of that. True. And I honestly think that all of their stuff going to both, theaters and HBO Max is actually a good thing.
True.
Just because I wasn't here when you guys discussed it. Because not only are people going to start paying for their subscription service, but if they really want to watch it in theaters, they'll go out and do it. It's just if ands or buts.
Yeah.
Just like with the, like Freaky, Chris was talking about Freaky just now. That went straight to a theater. I think it's going to actually give movies that may not have made so much money a better chance to actually make money, because of the fact, let's watch this on TV. This was good. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna go see it in theaters now. Look at Matrix 4. With the stink of the the last two Matrix movies that people say, people are really skeptical about it. If it comes out and it's brilliant like the first one was, they could go, well, we need to go see that in theaters and go.
Dude, I'm skeptical about this movie. I don't think it's not even a matter of the Matrix sequel sucked. Even their half decent films, I don't think the Wachowskis have got anywhere close to the Matrix since the Matrix.
No.
Okay.
Even their best films that they've made since are still 10 steps away.
Oh, of course.
And I don't count V for Vendetta only because I don't actually know how much involvement they had. That's another one of those, it's technically James McTeague's film, but there's the rumors the Wachowskis did a lot of it. I count that towards whoever got credited. So if they did a lot of it, great for them, but their actual shit. Cloud Atlas is like taking a Xanax. It's just so slow.
Well, if you read it, those books are so confusing as fuck to begin with. So, I mean, that right there is one thing. If you notice, Jupiter Ascending, most of their movies are book to movie adaptations. They're book adaptations, which is where they flaunt.
Was Jupiter Ascending a book?
I believe it was.
I thought it was original.
But nevertheless, if you notice, visually they're not bad.
They're good visually.
But
yeah,
they may have just lost their step. There's some directors out there that hit it big the first time and then they're done.
Yeah. That's true.
Speed Racer. I think they did do Speed Racer.
Speed Racer wasn't the worst. It's not great, but it's not the worst.
No, visually, it's
visually it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they do is, they're visually breathtaking films. However you cut it.
I also part of the reason, because we talk about Jupiter Ascending, you're right, they are very good visually, because Jupiter Ascending is a movie that on a writing level and on a direction level and an acting level is just fucking atrocious, but it's not a terrible concept and it looks pretty, but their direction of actors, Eddie Redmayne is an Oscar-winning actor, and his entire performance is a coin flip between whispering and talking and then getting loud like this, and it's what the fuck are you doing with this dude?
I'm telling you, I thought that performance was so bad. It was going to be funny. The Eddie Murphy thing with Norbit, where it was going to ruin his Oscar chances. I thought he wasn't going to get it.
It's so bad.
I thought he wasn't going to win.
No. Okay, wait.
Because he had Michael.
No,
I wouldn't say it almost ruined his career. It could have ruined his Oscar.
He was in Fantastic Beast, and he's still going.
Yeah, Eddie, if he wanted to, he could go back and do another period piece or a drama, and he's just got choice of what he wants, and what he wants to do right now is these big, high budget, studio films.
Yeah, he'll do those, and then he'll do something like the Trial of Chicago 7, where he was really good.
He'll pull a McConaughey. He'll do these, big budget. I'm gonna fill my pockets full of money movies, and then he'll go back and do something, and then he'll come out with Dallas Buyers Club.
Well, even then, if you remember, some of his early films, Eddie Redmayne was a bit part in Les Mis. Eddie Redmayne obviously had Theory of Everything and Danish Girl back to back. This year, he's in Trial of Chicago 7,
which is great.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's. You're right. I think it does come down to he has an opportunity to do big blockbusters, and dude, if you get the opportunity to be at the top of your game in your industry, fucking line those pockets.
No, you never know how long it's gonna last. It's let's be real. If Marvel or DC came to you and said, "Oh, we want you to do this," I don't care who the fuck it. Look at Robert Pattinson. He openly said he didn't want to do big block after Twilight. He wanted to do indie films, but then they presented him with the Batman, so he's gonna jump on it. Yeah. So I don't. Or look at Ryan Reynolds. He took Green Lantern and X-Men Origins, which on paper may have looked good, but.
Yeah. Filled his pockets.
Exactly. So I don't blame anybody for getting out there and working.
I would play plumber guy in Marvel if that gave me a lot of money. I'd do that.
I know, right?
And to be fair, specifically with Battison, I feel like a lot of that has to do with Matt Reeves. I think Reeves is such an interesting pick for blockbusters that.
Right.
Mila Kunis did the original Ted films.
That was before.
That was before Jupiter? I thought that was after.
Yeah. Ted was 2012.
I thought I'd seen her. She did the Bad Moms movies.
Yeah, she did the Bad Moms movie. Which those movies are funny as hell.
Yeah, she had that shitty spy movie with what's her name for SNL?
Yep.
The Spy in Me.
Hate whatever.
Or no, The Spy Who Dumped Me.
She was in Wonder Park. That was terrible.
Oh God, do we really have to talk about that movie?
All right, can I just say this is a completely tangential thing, but can I just say that's one of the worst ways I've ever seen a movie handle death of mom. Disney's made a career out of it, but good lord!
I'll tell you, I had no idea she
at the end of the movie.
They're like she died, and I was like, and then it made it seem like she wasn't. I was like, it didn't stick to the one thing where it's like, yeah, she's dead. It's like she went through all this stuff, and it's like, your mom is doing okay, don't worry. It's like, what? You go through this whole up type of thing, and then you're like, oh no, she's actually someone alive. It's like, what? And then I turned it off halfway.
And it wasn't a Disney movie. By the way, guys, it was not a Disney.
No, it's not.
It was a Nickelodeon
to be fair, Wonder Park is a film that's so bad. I don't know if either of you guys noticed this, but I remember when I watched it, I noticed something, and I immediately had to research it because it confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
There is no director's credit for that film.
Correct.
There's no director credit. The director who was responsible for most of the film, like he's on Wikipedia, but he was fired towards the end of production for whatever reason.
Right.
And it was like a team finished it, so they just never credited anyone.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that.
It was the most insane thing I've ever heard of. Like
something weird happened.
Even Solo got a director's credit. Like, how the fuck do you just not have a?
True.
God.
Well, I felt bad for I felt bad for the God, that little girl running through the forest, damn near gets knocked the fuck out. Like nobody's around to notice that she's not there. She could have just straight up bled to death right there in the forest, and it kind of had a Pan's Labyrinth kind of feel, where it's like we're gonna make it feel like it's this kind of movie, and then all of a sudden we're just gonna totally flip the script, and it's like it flipped, and it was not good. It did not land right.
Right.
No. Norm of the North is actually it is not. No. I wholeheartedly disagree with this whole sentence.
They're both horrendous. Wonder Park is more hurtful because it tries to go for something deeper and fucks it up. But Norm of the North is also
just from animation standpoint, it's
so here's something funny. I think I may have said this on the show before, but I have made it my mission now that every year I try and see as many of terrible of these animated films as possible, just cause. I have, so technically speaking, and I only do this because they technically got released. All 4 Norm of the North films have technically received theatrical release. The other 3 did get limited releases. So I've seen all of them.
They're not good.
but I'm not kidding when I say on the sliding scale of terrible Norm of the North movies, the 3rd one is the best. I can definitively say the 3rd one is the best. The best is like a 2 out of 10. The best is Rob Schneider couldn't even come back. They went so cheap they couldn't afford him.
It's a guy that sounds like Rob Schneider, but not quite. Like
it's like dollar store Rob Schneider,
pretty much.
Kevin James.
Honestly, they should have just done what Grown Ups 2 did and try and swap out Rob Schneider for Nick Swartz, and because he's about a dollar store Rob Schneider.
True. Did you guys see the Queen's Corgi from last year?
No, what is that?
No, it's a animated movie.
Wait, what's it called?
The Queen's Corgi.
All right, hold on.
The Queen, she has her corgi and whatnot. She has multiple dogs, and then at some point, Donald Trump and Melania Trump go to England, and they have their dog. Which, fun fact, Donald Trump did not have a dog in the White House. They have their dog go over and try to get them to marry. It is the most horrendous but the greatest animated movie. I could not contain myself from laughing. I highly suggest you watch it.
If we're talking about funny bad animated films, did anyone see the film Arctic Dogs from last year?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, so me and my buddy went to see this movie, right? So I have a buddy of mine and he'll go see movies with me, and it basically the way that it works is I tell him I'm seeing this. Do you want to come watch it? And he's just like, okay, sure. Wow, that's a Donald Trump if I've ever seen one. Okay.
I was gonna say.
So,
the resemblance is striking.
Oh, it's the best. Here, I'll play the scene for you guys real quick. I'll let this.
Hold up. So I was gonna say, this movie, man, if you have not seen it, it's terrible. It's terrible on all accounts. So, but me and my buddy go and see it, and we get into the theater, and he sees the poster for the film as we're walking in, and he's like, dude, this looks terrible. Why are we here? And I was just like, look, these films are usually terrible, but there's always something weird in them that's entertaining. And I was like, also, there's no one else in the theater, so we can openly make fun of it, and something will happen. So we're watching the movie, and the weirdly funny thing happened. 2 things. One, the soundtrack is entirely Jeremy Renner music, which is just funny in and of itself. And two, James Franco voices a bird with a French accent, and it's fucking horrendous. But you can almost hear in his voice how high he is. Like there's literally moments of dialogue where like it clearly looks like the character shouldn't be speaking, but you'll hear Vanko's voice clip in where it's almost like he was reacting to what he was reading, because it's just random like, oh, what? And it's like they just didn't bother to clip it out. Like he was just high reacting to the script. It was the most incredible thing. So then the movie, it's called Arctic Dogs.
Oh yeah, that's right. I never saw it, but I heard of it. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
So this is the funniest thing. So the movie ends.
Yeah.
Right? And we get up to leave, and this isn't a theater with recliners, so we were already reclined up. We weren't paying attention, and a grandma and a little girl walked in and sat in the very front row, right? Yeah. Now, we've been in there the whole time. We're cracking jokes. We've been talking out loud. Like, she didn't say a thing to us. So we felt so terrible. Like, we went up to her and apologized, because we were also, like, saying curse words out loud and stuff. And she just looks at us and she goes, listen, I'm here because the parents needed me to kill 2 hours with her. She's not comprehending a thing you guys said, and you're the only reason I sat through this whole movie. And I was like, great.
I gotta watch that tonight or tomorrow.
It's and it's got a hell of a cast, man. It's got Jeremy Renner, it's got Omar Sy, it's got John Cleese in it, it's got it's a real cast. Like somebody tried. Baldwin's in it. Yeah, Baldwin's like his best friend. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing.
I gotta see for the Renner music.
Oh, dude, straight up, like there's montages to Renner music.
I gotta see this.
Like, so I feel like Renner starred in this movie only because they agreed to play his music in it. He was just like, great.
That's awesome. So here's the. Well, this is the first scene where you see. This is the first scene where you see Trump. And it was in theaters.
Here we are. Fantastic little place you got here, Liz.
Join Queen Elizabeth. Delightful Prince Philip.
Okay, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but that was part of it. Wow. I'll find it real quick, but it's the best. Okay,
so yeah, Aaron, I was just looking at the cast list for that movie. Holy shit, dude, that movie should have been like.
Yeah, dude, I found it. Angelica Houston, Michael Madsen, like it has a real cast.
No. Ugly Dolls was actually entertaining. I watched that. That was actually kind of one of those slightly heartfelt movies wrapped around a kid's movie. It was nowhere near as bad as the other two that we were just discussing.
I don't think it's quite as bad, but I certainly think it's down there. My thing with Ugly Dolls, the only reason I got through that movie is because I was highly entertained by Nick Jonas playing Child Hitler, essentially. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Like, that kid shows up, and he's blonde hair, blue eyes, and singing about how everybody needs to look the same as him. And I'm just like, oh my God, did they know what they've done?
I'm trying to find what that means.
And yes, Emoji Movie's terrible, too.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all have to remember, I have to watch all these movies. I don't really have a choice in that matter because, I've got the kids, so, I got to give somewhere, but...
Oh, my God.
Did you see Playmobil, the movie?
Arctic Dogs is getting a spin-off starring Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Oh.
Johnny Depp. Now I'm going to support that, okay? There you go.
Arctic...
Oh my God. No, so dude, this guy's incredible. The guy who directed this movie, Aaron Woodley, I don't know how he does it. He had a film a few years before that was also trash called Spark. Listen to the cast on this one. Jessica Biel, Hilary Swank, Susan Sarandon, Patrick Stewart. And then the lead character was played by a kid actor named Jace Norman, who's a nobody in the grand scheme of things, but he was on a huge Nickelodeon show at the time. So like to kids, he was someone that mattered.
Oh, did any of you see the Playmobil movie?
No, but I wanted to. It was only in theaters for a week.
I missed it. I was gonna go see it because I was down in Orlando when it came out, so I was gonna go see it, and I just never had the opportunity to see it. I had a choice between that and Knives Out, and I chose Knives Out.
You chose correct.
Yeah, I assume so. But part of me thinks I chose wrong because that movie might be so bad that it's the greatest thing in the world.
Also, I just looked up Playmobil. Can we talk about this movie's cast? Anya Taylor-Joy, Gabriel Bateman, Jim Gaffigan, Daniel Radcliffe, Kenan Thompson, Meghan Trainor for some reason. How do these movies get casts?
Apparently, Chris says it's on Stars.
Yeah.
Under what?
So I'll have to go look for it.
Chris says Playmobil's on Stars.
Is it really? I have Stars.
Me too. So I'm because I can't remember.
Stars.
Okay, so I had to look up what it was. I forgot the title, so I just looked up worst animated movies because I was sure it would be on there. You know what? Screen Crush has rated as the worst animated movie of all time.
It is on Stars. Oh my God, yes.
I'm watching it tonight. Well, tomorrow. I gotta watch Arctic Dogs tonight. But do you know what the worst animated movie according to Screen Crush is?
I'm scared to know.
Shark Tale.
That's pretty fucking bad.
I love Shark Tale. I mean, Martin Scorsese in the movie. And then you have a troll in Central Park. Okay, I assume that. But the movie I was thinking of, what's worse? Wonder Park or Food Fight?
Oh, Food Fight.
Yeah, Food Fight.
On a question, which, by the way, if you don't know what a troll in Central Park is, that's also atrocious.
I've never seen. I gotta watch some of these now.
It's a Troll in Central Park is made by Don Bluth, who's the same guy who made Land Before Time and Anastasia, and I think he made Anastasia too, maybe not. But he also made like American Tail. He made All Dogs Go to Heaven. Like in the late '80s, early '90s.
Iconic '80s, early '90s.
Dude, okay, hold on. Let me look up. So yeah, in the late '80s, early '90s, Don Bluth was like. It was basically like Disney and Don Bluth. Like they were competing back and forth. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line, dude went off the rails, and all of his films in the 90s are damn near terrible. Like he made a movie called Rock-a-Doodle, if you know what that is.
Hey. I grew up loving that movie.
He made Thumbelina.
It's really bad now, but
but
he made Thumbelina. He made a Troll in Central Park. He made a movie called The Pebble and the Penguin. He made Anastasia, and his last film was Titan AE.
Oh, what a movie to go off on!
Yeah, but before that, his first ever animated film. He used to work for Disney in the from the 50s on. His first animated film was The Secret of Nim. And he did The Secret of Nim, and American Tail, The Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven, and then completely fell off.
Dang.
That is weak.
It's incredible how much that guy fell off. It's sad.
Mind.
But
maybe they could say cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I don't know if he did cocaine. Oh, he also created the game Dragon's Lair, if anybody knows what that is.
Oh, I love that game. Okay, that makes perfect sense with how it's animated.
He created and animated that. Yep.
Okay,
so that's what I'm saying. And that was in his string of super successful films. So it's like he just dominated the 80s and then just fell apart in the 90s. I mean, I guess maybe Maddie likes Rock-a-Doodle. I don't know if anybody else does, but
Dragon's Lair is great, man. I wonder when that movie's coming. It was supposed to come out at one point, and then I just think it died off, or that's what I thought.
Probably one of those movies that died in purgatory. 502 West was so much better than American Tail, in my opinion. Just saying.
I don't know. I mean, it's good. I haven't seen them in a long time, so I can't really say for sure. But I gotta watch some of these animated movies that are considered some of the worst.
The last that anything heard from it was in 2016. Don Bluth and Gary Goldman attempted to do a crowdfunding for the movie. It raised $570,000.
Huh. Dang, that could be a cool Netflix show.
I do remember this because the promotional for it was done. They promoted it on Nostalgia Critic. I remember this because he's a fan of the earlier movies. They promoted it. I remember that.
Oh. Huh. Yeah.
No, but Troll in Central Park is probably his worst. It's pretty bad. It's it's like Dom DeLuise plays this troll, but he spends the entire movie speaking like this. It's awful.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, Screen Crush, we need to talk. How is Planes the number 3 worst animated movie of all time? I get it's not great. It's not great, okay? But the second one, the one where there's like a forest fire, that's worse. And I don't even know if it's on your list. How?
Actually, I thought Planes 2 is better than Planes 1.
I like Planes 1 more, but it's like comparing what type of cancer you'd rather have.
2 were.
I thought 2 was worse. I mean,
they're both better than Cars 2. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and you have North of the North is 4. You have Alpha and Omega. Food Fight's at 6, which I don't get. The Nut Job is 7.
That one's bad too.
Yeah, that's bad. Dougal is on there. Hoodwinked, Hood vs. Evil. Okay, I'll give you that.
Hoodwinked, really?
Yeah, Hoodwinked 2. Hood versus
fair
Evil.
enough.
That's why I'll give it that. Happily Never After.
Happily Never After? What is that?
Yeah, Ratatouille, which, for those who don't know what Ratatouille is, it is basically, so you know that the studio that will make, like, they'll take, let's say, Transformers, and then, like the Asylum, that's their version of Ratatouille. But Ratatouille.
It's like a cheap, it's like a cheap Netflix version of it.
Oh,
yeah, I always remember I just remember the Transformers ripoff from them. The image of the cover was just a giant black CG, just transforming thing. I don't even know what it was turning into, and it's just in bold font. The title was Transmorphers.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god.
So, yeah. Fun fact,
which, by the way, my favorite, because we brought it up earlier, I have to mention it. My favorite, the Asylum film I've ever heard of. They parodied High School Musical as Sunday School Musical.
It's awesome.
Changing everything. I'm watching that thing, so I gotta watch that, and then PureFlix.
That's making a list.
Like, so PureFlix, for those who don't know, PureFlix made a movie, a Taken/John Wick version of their movie, but based in Christianity.
I remember that.
Oh my god, I gotta find it. But it came out like later this year. It is the greatest thing I've ever heard of. I gotta watch that tonight too. Playmobil.
It came out earlier this year.
I think it came out this year. Yeah, it's. I'll try to find. Yeah. But Playmobil's 12. I'll get back to it. Delgo is 14, and an Emoji Movie's 15. But you want to know what number 13 is? Titanic. The Legend Goes On.
Is that the singing dog one?
So yes, this is what they wrote. James Cameron's Titanic took home 11 Academy Awards and grossed over $2 billion. The movie paid homage to the devastating tragedy while telling its own emotionally charged love story. Then, in 2000, the Spanish-Italian Titanic, The Legend Goes On arrived. Jack and Rose are replaced by 2 obvious animated lookalikes, William and Angelica. Only this time around, William is an upper-class English gentleman, and Angelica is Cinderella. She has a wicked stepmother, 2 evil stepsisters, talking mice, the whole bit. So now we're ripping off those 2 movies right there. Naturally, they fall in love, only to be met with one of the greatest maritime travesties to ever occur. Bummer. But don't worry, because just like the 1998 movie, they both survive, as do all the talking animals, even the rapping dog. Did we mention there's a rapping dog? Because there is. This is 1912 after all, but seriously, retelling of a historical catastrophic isn't bad, just insensitive and needs to go away. So yes, the rapping dog.
Well, the funny thing is,
I don't want to jump in, but you were literally jumping in on one of my favorite type of series of films. When you mentioned the John Wick F one, my god, when I saw that was so brilliant. He's sitting down with his Mexican, and then they just get shot, and then he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so upset, but now I'm not. But now I'm never going to mention it again. But I'm so upset, but I'm not going to talk about it." And go, I mean, the fight. You thought John Wick stuff was good. I mean, oh my god, Pure Flix is pure gold.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw the comments, but when you talk about stuff, pure. Oh my, yes, he's the guy. He's the guy who owns it and puts himself. I think he's got like 168 credits, and he's the star in all of it. But you know what the worst part about it is? This film is actually his best film. It's terrible, but this is
is it Beckman? It's Beckman.
Beckman.
Yes,
It's
Beckman.
Beckman.
Yes,
I can't wait to watch. I'm watching it tonight.
No, so dude, so this guy. Here's another one that I saw that's funny. So this guy, David A.R. White, is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he behind Pure Flix and the God's Not Dead trilogy, my favorite thing. Transmorphers. My favorite thing personally that he has been behind. Not that I've watched any of his films completely, but there's a trilogy called what's it called? It's called Revelation Road. It's the Bible and the end of the world meets Mad fucking Max.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
This is real. Yeah. So there's three of them. There's Revelation Road, the beginning of the end, Revelation Road 2, the Sea of Glass and Fire, and then the Black Rider Revelation Road.
Yeah, that's the best one. That's so bad. There's a fellow on YouTube who does these sort of reviews. I don't know if it's bad movie reviews.
You're talking about the porn guy, Brad Jones.
No. There's another guy. He reviews these specific sort of things, and he breaks down it, and he gets all the information behind it. Like there was one thing in that last one when they had to go out and they wanted to film in Arizona, but they literally didn't have enough money to get a bus to get everyone out there. So they said, all right, let's just go down here. There's an abandoned factory. Let's go film it. They got arrested during it. And during the film, there's a point where you can actually hear the cops outside, and they didn't even edit it out. It's so good. It's like it's
that. Yes.
It's beyond the Room level of intrigue.
It's so good. I gotta watch Beckman, and look, if I love Beckman like I love The Room, I will also own it like I own The Room. I watch it at least once a month.
I mean, between Beckman and was it God's? What's the Kevin Sorbo one? God's Not Dead.
Yeah, God's Not Dead one.
Yeah, God's Not Dead 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. Whatever they're up to now.
12,000.
Oh,
they the third one in the first trailer looks like an action movie where the church blows up.
The church blows up in the third one.
And then you have Sabrina the Teenage Witch Girl in the second one or whatever, as they're like, it's like some law movie or whatever that they're doing. I saw all three in the movie theater. Day one, opening day. I don't regret it.
And
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, my theater right now, the theaters I'm by, aren't really doing that great business-wise. But when those movies came out, they sold out. They sold more tickets than Avengers or anything. I don't know why. But the God's Not Dead movies, you could not get to. It was like getting a PlayStation 5. So if you want to save the theater industry, God's Not Dead 4 needs to happen because that thing will sell out.
Bro,
I guarantee you.
Like Tommy was always talking about doing a sequel to The Room.
Yes.
And he wants to only do it in limited theaters. I'm like, all right, how much money am I paying to see that?
Yeah, I will travel.
Do you want to hear about a Christian movie that made some real money? There's this movie that came out called War Room.
Yes, which wasn't that bad actually. I mean, it's not
this
great.
movie on a $3 million budget made $74 million.
Yeah, no, dude.
And half of it came from my town.
Most of those movies don't need a lot of money, and they make a lot of fucking money because they do special screenings where churches come in and they bring their whole fucking congregation.
Yeah, dude, straight up on the trailer of these movies now, they're advertising in the trailer, like at the end piece in big letters, called to book a church group.
But here's the thing. Not only that, what they'll do is they'll take a celebrity that people know, like, oh, he's that guy. And you're like, oh, that's Emerald, that's Stephen, oh, that's Michael, whatever his name is. And they'll keep him in there for about 8 minutes, and then they'll kill him off, like they do in Becker as well, and everything else. They constantly just keep doing it. And then people are like,
my God,
this must be a legitimate film.
There was one came out recently that did that. I'm trying to remember what it's called. There was one that came out. It was like an end of the world Christian movie that did exactly what you're talking about.
Left Behind.
Left Behind. Those are
no. Nick Cage was the lead in that. This
that
one's
was
recent.
Nick Cage. This is the budget version. I know which one he's talking about, but who was the?
Oh, God, who was the lead in it?
There was the chick. I know there was a Left Behind film that had the chick from Birdemic in it.
Yeah, there was. I think that one came out in the 80s or something. It was whenever the books first came out. Maybe even 90s, I don't know, but I do remember.
No, this was one in the last 10, 15 years sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, that was, I think it came out a few years.
Blink of an Eye? Blink of an Eye? Is that what it's called? No.
Oh, I think because if I'm thinking of the right and Left Behind, I saw that in the theater with my aunt. That was a fun time. Because normally you have like God's Not Dead and all that stuff. They're bad, but they're fun bad. This was like bad. Like I couldn't have fun with the Left Behind movie. It had like Jordan Sparks in it from American Idol and
yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Left Behind.
That's Left Behind. Okay, so that was Left Behind. Sorry, I was mixing it up because of the level of the actors that were in it, and it also had Nick Cage. Yeah, okay.
It does.
I gotta see what that cast was because it wasn't the worst cast in the world.
It's got Kirk Cameron, Nick Cage, Chad Michael Murray, Casey Thompson, Brad Johnson, Chelsea Noble, Nikki Wellen, Jordan Sparks, Lee Thompson, Quentin Aaron.
I mean, if it's got Kirk Cameron in it, you know it's an A-quality film. He's never done anything bad. Did you also know that guy's Christian? I don't know if you realize that.
I didn't know that.
No, Kirk Cameron's not in the one with Nick Cage. Kirk Cameron was in the original. That's a remake, by the way.
Really? See, they've got his. It says cast.
He's
the one in 2000.
Kirk Cameron is the co-pilot in the remake.
Yeah, because when I looked it up, it had him on there as one of the cast.
Yeah, he's the cameo of the co-pilot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a cameo. Okay.
That first trailer that came out, it didn't look bad. It looked like, oh, this might actually be pretty good. And then you see the movie.
The problem was it also looks similar to like what was that other one? The Unknown.
Yeah, The Unknown, which also had Nick Cage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what it looked like. I'm like, oh, okay. So is this one going to end in aliens?
Right.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And they set it up for a sequel too.
I know. So I think there was another actual high quality.
Isn't even credited. Kirk Cameron's not even credited in the movie.
Oh, I don't know. But
you need to stop yawning. Like I'm fucking worn out. I should
I'm watching Beckman like as soon as I get off here.
I feel like we've reached the point where we have to call it a night. We can't possibly go anywhere from here, right?
Yeah, we can. We're gonna do me and Matt. We're gonna do a play-by-play of Beckman. What the hell is the actor's name? It's the priest that dies in like 8 minutes in it.
I don't know. He's Paulie from the Rocky movies is in it.
Yes, I know the big.
But he's been dead for a few years, though, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he died in Beckman like years ago. God.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it called?
Beckman.
Beckman.
I'll find it.
Movie.
Bible Beckman.
So hold up. So Burt Young's in it. Are you talking about Billy Baldwin?
It's William.
No, he's the bad guy. Billy Baldwin's the bad guy in that.
Hold on, I've got
he's the minister.
It's got William Baldwin, Summer Rae, Burt Young. Let's see.
Burt Young? No.
Yeah, Burt Young.
Burt Young's from Rocky.
Yeah, Burt Young. Yeah. He was like the most well-known guy, and I'm like, oh my god, it's that guy. And I'm like, oh, it's a Baldwin. He has the nose. Which one are you?
But that's like the only known person. Like I'm looking at all this. That's the only person.
The Spanish chick that gets killed in it was actually a part of the church group, and actually turned up on the day, and had to leave. That's why they killed her off.
I swear.
Spiritual ex-contract killer's journey towards salvation is cut short when his adopted daughter is kidnapped by a deranged cult leader. Jesus. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like basically another version of Drive Angry with Nick Cage.
Oh God, that movie.
That movie is fucking great. You shut up.
Spaceman's gonna be better though because
no. This is John Wick with Nick Cage. This is how good this film is.
Oh, it's John Wick. Oh,
yeah, it's like John Wick, Drive Angry. I mean, this movie. Look, you might like John Wick. You might or John Wick. You might like Drive Angry. You might like Drive Angry. But tell me what, does Drive Angry have David A.R. White? I don't think so. You know what does? Beckman. Does John Wick have David A.R. White? No. What does? John Wick.
And you know what the best part about it is? The reason why he becomes religious is he gets into a gunfight at the beginning of the film and then wanders to a spot. He looks at around and he's like, oh, that's a church. And he goes in there, he's like, okay, I guess I'm now going to be the minister. No explanation. It's brilliant. It defies logic, and you know what? You believe it because all 18 seconds have gone past.
Well, there was a TV show on Cinemax called Banshee where this guy gets out of jail.
Yeah, Banshee was awesome. That had bloody Homelander in it.
Yes, it did. And he straight up rolled up to this like bar, and this guy comes in and literally kills the sheriff, and the bartender and the guy like hide the body, and this guy straight up takes over being sheriff, and he's doing all this like gangster underworld robbing shit, but he's a goddamn pretending to be a cop. It's fucking
like
great.
If you think Anthony Starr was good in The Boys, seeing him in Banshee is in his element because I mean, the accents are different because he's Kiwi, so he has a very thick New Zealand accent. But in The Boys, he has this very New York, Boston-esque sort of style accent that he's going for. But in this one, he's more Southern, and the fact that he can pull it off, it's a great show.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it, but I gotta watch the entire thing. Yeah.
I still like the American version of Animal Kingdom, bro. Sorry, homie. Our version is so much better.
Right. Or see, but here's the thing: our version was a movie first. That's the whole point. You were able to.
It's Animal Kingdom. I have to admit, I do like the movie.
Oh, is that the movie? Oh shit! Oh, Ben Mendelsohn's in it, right?
Ben Mendelsohn, Guy Pearce.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's an Australian film, so.
It's always seemed interesting. I heard there's a show in America based on it, but I don't watch American dramas, so
a lot of American remakes are either real. Here's the thing with it, when it comes to American remakes of other countries, they're either top tier or they're garbage.
Right.
There's no one who says, it was okay. It's either they either improve on it, like something like a House of Cards, and then they get a little bit too political and woke and turn the show into something it wasn't supposed to be. And you get stuff like Kath and Kim. They did an American version, which is a very popular show in Australia, and it tanked. Broadchurch, one of the biggest ones. They changed it to Grace Point in America. Kept David Tennant in there, but he got axed after the second episode.
Yeah, I mean, even what's it called? It's a huge UK comedy.
Really good. So I mean,
huge
and Olivia Colman did it as well. Still,
yeah. Okay,
they tried doing In-Betweeners.
They tried doing that. They did an American version of Ice Crowd with Richard Ayoade and the guy that does the soup talk. What's it? McHale, Joe McHale.
Oh, Joel McHale. Yeah.
Yeah. They tried that one. It didn't even get past pilot stage. There's been so many other shows that have gone over to America because American humor and
it's so different.
It's different. Australian humor is different.
Honestly, I may be speaking wrong if I've never heard of it, but one of the things I am glad of is one of my favorite British comedies hasn't been touched by America, and it should stay that way. And it's funny you just mentioned, is it pronounced Richard Ayoade, or how do you say his name?
Ayoade.
The It Crowd. I think it's brilliant.
No, dude, that's literally what I was just saying. The It Crowd, they literally did an American version. That's the one I'm saying. Yeah, they took Roy, played by I can't remember his name now. But they Richard Ayoade.
Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah, Chris O'Dowd was removed. It was Richard Ayoade was still Moss. You had
oh, holy shit! I didn't know they did this.
Yeah,
Holy
it's on YouTube.
shit!
It's so bad because no subtleties about it.
Right.
Oh, so this was even before Joel McHale blew up with Community. Okay.
Yeah.
Rocky Carroll from NCIS was on it. Holy shit.
Yes, he was bloody Denim.
Yeah. That's so weird.
And he's so different.
No
he's
wonder
not the goofy Denim. He's Steve Jobs. That's the difference. And it just didn't work.
No wonder it didn't make it past pilot.
Yeah.
No wonder I never heard of this. Wow, that's terrible. Yeah, because I think Joel McHale can be funny, but Joel McHale and Chris O'Dowd are two very different styles of comedy. And just sticking Richard Ayoade in there makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
True.
No, it doesn't work.
Well,
all right, guys. I gotta.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should probably just end it. We're over the line by a lot.
Shut it down. I'll see everybody later.
Why is it every time I'm on stream we end up doing like the longest bloody streams ever?
Dude, it's either one or the other. There's no like mid-range. We either go for an hour and a half or we go for 3 hours. There's no 2-hour mark on this show. But all right, thank you to anyone who watches all the way to the end. We will see you guys next week for After Dark.